G'day everyone, I'm the man called Kimo Sabi, the man with the plan from Land Down Under, and thanks for joining me on the second Company Man campaign live draw stream. If you guys aren't familiar with the concept of this, it's simply that when I was campaigning for the Company Men, Dead, White and Blue, my premiere comic book that's going to be released very soon, 100% completed and now in demand on Indiegogo, I was trying to work up to that magical number of 300 subscribers, 300 people who signed up to email list. And while trying to do that, I maybe foolishly suggested that I would draw a sketch card as a reward for everybody who signed up and backed the book. And that seemed to do it. That tipped us over the edge. It got us to 300 people backing it, signing up for the email at least. I didn't get 300 back because I got 200 backers, which means I have to draw 200 cards. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm trying to do these live just to make it a little bit more interesting for me, to get a little bit more engagement. Last time we did this, it was a lot of fun. You guys are fantastic. Very easy going. Listen to me ramble on for about 4 hours and managed to get 10 cards done in that time, which means I'm about a 20th of the way there. And I usually just take requests from the chat if they take my fancy. I have asked that you don't request females because I cannot draw females. People were surprised how well I could draw. Their words, not mine. Being a writer, I suppose it's assumed most writers can't draw. But then you look at the history of some of the big names, guys like Grant Morrison and Alan Moore. Those guys were accomplished artists, not necessarily accomplished enough to be doing sequential art page by page. But I'm find that when I'm working with an artist, the fact that I can draw, I can sketch, I can put together a concept on a page and send it to him and say, hey, I want it to look something like that. That's been a big help in the past. I'm sure it will continue to be so in the future. So I'm just trying to picture the Peacemaker here. I watched Suicide Squad last night. Yo-ho, Pirate's Life for me. Because, I'm not going to be giving Hollywood any of my money, but I'm happy to take their movies and watch them for nothing. And people say, well, Kimo, if you do that, soon there'll be no movie industry because of piracy. I don't care. We don't need movies. We don't need the movie industry. All this stuff's superfluous. Work that out in art school. Until you've got Bob the Builder and Elvira. Thanks, Hockey. I don't know who Lord Helmet is. Thanks for turning up. Until you've got the food and water and shelter, Maslow's hierarchy of need, until that's sorted, you don't have time for art and music and comic books and all that sort of stuff. So, while we can enjoy this stuff, a lot of this stuff's really superfluous. We don't really need it. So look at the camera and make sure you guys can see what I'm drawing. It'll look better once. Slimer, that's a good one, Hockey. I should definitely do Slimer to go with the Stay Puft that we did last time. So I saw Suicide Squad last night. I liked it. I was talking to Dean about it this morning because he's my boy, Dean is. And I said, in pretty much every single metric, it was better than the last Suicide Squad movie. Now, if you don't know, I'm quite a fan of the last Suicide Squad movie. I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. There's a lot of stuff in there I liked. My main problem was, aside from Will Smith being a terrible Deadshot. Now, my dad said that it would have been better off swapping Joel Kinnaman for Rick Flag as Deadshot. So have Rick Flag's actor play Deadshot and have Will Smith play Rick Flag, because Will Smith could do that, stick up his butt, yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir stuff in his sleep. And I believe his name's Joel Kinnaman. He does a really sleazy scumbag type character well. You don't see it in Rick Flag. You get sort of that Alabama hillbilly drawl, but it's in there. It's in there. He's got that range. I think my dad's spot on there. That would have been a better casting choice. So aside from some of the dubious casting choices, the only real problem with the other Suicide Squad movie, the original, I think, was the pacing. It feels like, David Ayer, the director, has backed this up, that the whole thing was chopped up and altered sort of without his permission, behind his back. That bit with the bomb in the subway, I felt like we saw that 3 times. We saw it happen, then we saw it in a flashback, and then we saw it in a flashback. It's like, why do we need to see that multiple times? I should only ever need to see that scene once. This isn't Memento. We don't need to be going back over this stuff. Aside from the pacing itself being a little bit off, they also missed out on, g'day Quaff, thanks for being here, mate. They also missed out on, in the new Suicide Squad movie, there's a scene where they all sort of share their sordid past and histories, not all of them, a couple of the characters. And it's a little bit on the nose, it's a little bit forced, but it still works. It still gets you in the feels like it's meant to. I've said before, since I've become a dad, I've become a real sook with all this sort of stuff, and anything like that with like parent-child relationships and that sort of stuff, where it's kids clamoring for the love of their parents, they don't get it, and that's what leads them to be criminal scumbags in the future. Like all that sort of stuff gets me. So I know I'm very susceptible to that sort of thing. And excuse me. So they had a scene like that in the new one, and that really worked. But they didn't have a scene like that in the last Suicide Squad movie. I think that was a mistake, because all of a sudden, out of nowhere, El Diablo's like, "Hey, Crazy Mad. Hey, Dario. Thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate you guys turning up, so I'm not just talking to myself." All of a sudden, El Diablo is like, "Oh, we're a family and we stick together." It's like 2 minutes ago, you guys are trying to kill each other. They didn't have that big come together scene, and I can see why they got James Gunn to do the new Suicide Squad, because that sort of pull a family together out of nothing. I mean, that's his MO. That's his bread and butter. That's what he did with Guardians of the Galaxy twice, and he's probably going to do it again. So I can see why they picked him to headline, or to helm this sort of movie. So I really enjoyed it. But like I say to Dean, even though it's better than the original in pretty much every way, I actually prefer the original, and I want to go back and rewatch the original one, the first one, and I don't know if I'd watch this new one again, even though it was a better movie, because I don't know, it felt really long. Now, when we watch a movie at home here, we have a lot of interruptions from the kids. I mean, just a 2-hour movie can take us 4 or 5 hours to watch, just from the amount of interruptions. It's insane. I say to my wife, Dad, I feel like it's taken us 3-4 hours to watch this 2-hour movie. And she goes, well, it's because it has. It has. We've had that many interruptions. The kids just, they're kids, they're 3 and 4. They need stuff. They get hungry. They get this. They get that. They get tired. They need you. So you end up accommodating them over maybe what you want to do. So it takes us forever to watch a movie. So the Suicide Squad felt like it took forever to get through. And it shouldn't. If you're enjoying a movie, and I was enjoying it, I kept telling my wife, I said, you enjoying this? I like to check. It's going to sound very patriarchal, but I like to, Suicide Squad, Crazy Mad. Just watched it last night with the missus. I like to curate my wife's movie choices. Now, she's fine to go watch whatever movie she wants whenever she wants, but if I'm going to sit down and watch a movie with her, I need to make sure it's something good. I can't sit down and put Beowulf with Christopher Lambert in it in front of her, because she'll what was this? Not good. It's not good. What'd you waste 2 hours of my life for this for? I've got to make sure that the movie choices are quality choices. So I have a separate folder just for movies that I think she'll like, that I also like. She can watch whatever Hallmark romance she wants to watch on the side. She can watch Twilight and shit, 50 Shades of Grey as often as she wants, but that's not for me, so I won't be watching it. But when we share a movie, I want to make sure it's something we're both going to enjoy. So I can't sit down and give her just some average movie. I've got to make sure it's something good. So I just said, you enjoying Suicide Squad? You like it? Yeah, it's fun. It's good. She gets sort of funny because they're the bad guys, and you really shouldn't be cheering for them. But you do, because they're the protagonists, even if they're not the good guys. But even so, it felt like it took forever to get through. Dario's trying to get me to draw the sinner. I would, but I don't know if we've actually finally agreed on the costume. That's what that meme about Dean kicking me in the dick was all about, Collargate. I insisted that a Mr. Mephistopheles type Faustian devil character would look more legitimate with a collar, and Dean's been pushing for a hood. He's pushing hard. He's like pushing Harvey Weinstein hard for this hood, and everybody we've showed it to prefers the hood. And I said to him, Dean, surely there's a word for when everybody else is wrong and you're right. And he said, yeah, it's called delusion, mate. You need to get on board with the hood. So I think that's a losing battle. I still think I'm right. I still think my sense of design is better, more solid, more mature and nuanced. I still think I'm right on this, but everybody else thinks I'm wrong. So, the fact that Dean's willing to come on board and work on this book with me, he's an absolute legend. He's a top bloke. He's a talented artist who's just getting better. Every page I see from him, he's just getting better and better every time. I'd be nuts to cause ill will over one costume feature. So he's probably going to get what he wants. He's probably going to get that bloody hood. I didn't like it at first. And then he redrew it in some sort of action panels, and I saw it action page. Saw it working in action. Like okay, I can see how it works. I still think the Doctor Strange like collar works better for a demon character. You guys still seeing this on the camera? Okay, fantastic. I noticed last time I went back and had just to look at my last one of these because I'd never done this before, and I wanted to try and make it a better experience if I could. I noticed there's a few times that I was quite off the screen with what I was drawing, and you guys are just listening to me ramble on for 20 minutes at a time, and I hadn't actually. No, it's not one of those. It's not a pointy hood. It's not like a hate monger hood or a cultist hood. It's more like. The way Dean drew, he drew it big and baggy like a ghetto hood. That's what I said. I don't like it. It's like Static Shock ghetto in the hood type hood, which I didn't like. And then he drew it a little bit. I would have liked it probably more if it's a Doctor Doom hood. But Dean's got this this edging on it that means it's got to be a little bit bigger for the edging to work, but it adds to the overall sort of grand, majestic demon prince type look we're going for with this character. So it's been an experience. It's I sort of said to him, it wasn't really an apology. It was just like, I appreciate you sticking with me as I negotiate through this. I'm not going to be this belligerent on everything. Like if you talk to Kelso, who's the artist on Company Man Dead, White and Blue, he'll say there's probably been only two things they ever pushed back on. One was insisting that Abbott looked the way that I said he should look, and I don't know, something. So he drew one character and he looked too much like Electro. I'm like, nah, ditch the hood. We don't need that. We don't need the mask. Don't need that sort of look. Aside from that, everything Kelso suggested I've gone with. So, I'm not belligerent. I'm not sort of person that insists I'm right and has to adhere to my vision. I can be flexible about this stuff, but I just really think, even though Dean managed to make the hood look good, I still think the collar's the better choice. But it looks like I'll be outnumbered, and I'll learn to love the collar just like Dr. Strange Gov learnt to love the bomb. Those Victorians. Hockey, you're a New South Welshman, aren't you, mate? You're one of us. Carcharo from DC. I don't know who that is. I don't know if I led you astray, Dario. Sinner certainly has elements of Batman, like he's a street level vigilante. Whether he's actually got any abilities is, people consider Daredevil street level, but his ability, Daredevil's ability, makes him. He'd beat nearly any human fighter in our world. You pick any human fighter. You pick the guy who plays the Mountain in Game of Thrones. You pick Conor McGregor. You pick Mike Tyson. Like with his blind ability and his ability to hear your heartbeat and all that sort of stuff, like Daredevil would face roll pretty much any fighter in our world. His abilities makes him superhuman. So whether or not Sin has any abilities, that's a real point of contention with the criminals of the world. Like it's a bit like the first Batman movie with Michael Keaton. They're scared of him. He seems to be supernatural. He seems to be superhuman. He does stuff that humans shouldn't be able to do, but is it just technology and gadgets? Remember as Batman's myth become dismantled in the Batman movie, they discovered he's wearing body armor and all that sort of stuff, and in a way that the crooks became less scared of him as they realized, hey, he actually is human, the more that he was revealed to be vulnerable. So there's elements of that in there. Is he super powered? Is he supernatural? Is he really a demon from hell? But in terms of his style, he still looks very much like a street-level vigilante with the utility belt and pointed boots and that sort of stuff. When I'm setting Dean's sketches of Sinner and how I want him to look, not that Dean ever listens to me, I use pictures of Batman as the base to get across the point quickly. I'll get a picture of Batman. I'll essentially trace over it with the Sinner's costume on top of it. There's no shame in it. It's not like they're going to be for publication, not like for anybody else to see. They're just there for Dean. Appreciate your not being able to wait to this, Dario. I'm really happy with the Sinner, the direction it's going. The script's done. It's been done for a while. Dean had a great suggestion just to throw it because the way it's paced. he said, front load it with a bit more action, and that was a good choice. So I'm just rewriting the first scene to give us just a little bit more Sinner straight away, because another big part of the story is the police, who I suppose in a way I'll write it a little bit like Netflix. Now, hold on, don't get worried. In that, if you have a Netflix show, Daredevil, for example, or Punisher, half the show is spent on other characters that aren't Daredevil or the Punisher, because it was just Punisher non-stop. I don't know, maybe they think they need B story. Maybe they think people would get bored of him. I don't know what sort of mental illness makes people think you could ever get bored of the Punisher, but anyway, there it is. So I write a little bit like that, where I'll have the main character and his story, and then alongside that there'll be other supporting backup characters who maybe don't even necessarily interact with the main character for the first couple of issues, a couple of episodes, if you want to term it like that. In another story I've got of a Golden Age mystery man vigilante that I've been working on for a little while, there's a couple of police detectives investigating murders that happen concurrent to all the stuff that's happening with the mystery man as he's getting his powers and learning about who he is and that sort of stuff. These guys don't meet each other for like the first whole season. It's almost like you're reading two stories. You're reading about this skull-faced 1915, 1920s vigilante taking the fight to crime in the city, and you're also reading about these two detectives trying to deal with corruption and homicide and racial tensions in this New Orleans type city. And these two stories just are happening side by side, and I jump back and forth between the two of them, but neither of them really matter to the other until much further down the line when they start to interact. And I like that sort of long, slow burn setup where you set stuff up early and it pays off weeks or even years later in a story. Crazy Man's right. People haven't got bored of the Punisher in 50 years. So I know Company Men and Sinner are in different worlds. Great question, Dario. I love your enthusiasm, brother. It's surreal, the situation we've got where our fans are other creators as well. Like I'm a fan of the work that people who are fans of my work create. I just finished recording a review for The Lost Pages with the Zaid brothers. It took me forever to do it because it's such a good book and I wanted to get it right. I wanted to say, hey, this book is just that good. It's one of the best books that CG's put out. But they're different worlds. The Company Man is more like X-Men and MCU Avengers, and Sinner's more like street level. I don't say like the Marvel Netflix series, but that sort of power level, All right, so nearly finished on Peacemaker. I think I might just put some yellow light reflections coming off the guns, off the he's shooting. I was pretty happy with John Cena's depiction of Peacemaker. Physically, I was sort of saying how surreal it is to see a guy that's as jacked as John Cena next to regular human beings. Like you see him in the ring, facing off with other guys that are as big or bigger than him. And those kids are playing together nicely. That's great. And he just seems like another guy. I remember Scotty 2 Hotty saying the same sort of thing. He always thought he was about the same size as the Hart brothers, and then he got in the ring with and realized these guys are absolute monsters, but used to seeing them have matches against The Undertaker and Hulk Hogan every week. And Taker and Hogan are like, 6'8", 6'10". The Hart brothers were 6'3", 6'4", 220, 240 pounds. Are still absolutely huge dudes. So it's sort of surreal to see John Cena there. I mean, his arms are as big, his biceps are as big as some dudes' heads. He's absolutely insane. And he's not even a big guy by wrestling standards. Like, he's one of the smaller guys. He's sort of an underdog. Talk about a fall from grace. Here's this guy who come along. Kurt Angle said he's going to be the next big thing. He debuted. Nobody liked him. Somehow, through Vince's big push, Vince did this big push to make John Cena the next guy. Same thing is done with Roman Reigns. I don't agree with it, but it's Vince's company, and I let my wallet do the walking and the talking. And then John Cena gets huge. And you sort of got to respect non-stop every day. He's out there doing he's grinding. He's doing a match every session. He's constant. And then you see him helping all the kids, the sick kids. He's always, they say every other weekend he's out doing Make-A-Wish Foundation type stuff. He never turns down a kid who wants to meet John Cena as their Make-A-Wish. He's in there with sick kids helping him out. I'm like, that's a dude I can respect. If I don't necessarily like his style, the memes, John Cena, he's a Pokemon, he's only got 4 moves, I can get past all that because of the way that he helps the kids and that sort of thing. Like, that matters. That's big time. And then he goes and he cucks to China and he loses it. Gets this weird haircut and just starts like shilling for the CCP in their own language, like kowtowing to them. It was bizarre. I'd never seen anything like it. I'm big into all the Hollywood type stuff, all of the Miley Cyrus is a clone, all of that sort of stuff. So I got to wonder, like, what happened to John Cena? Did they get to him? Did something happen to John Cena, and this is a clone of him or something? I mean, I loved his portrayal of his Peacemaker. Now, look, because of the way the camera is, his head's not that small. Like, the way the camera is, it makes it look like his head's really tiny, but it's not actually that bad. So Cena's been speaking Mandarin for years because it's the new language of international business. Not surprised at all. And like, honestly, the way that he spoke it, the fluency with which he spoke it, shows that it wasn't like, he's an actor, now. So I would have thought, you could put that on, but it was beyond just what you'd expect an actor to be able to do. It was completely fluent. It sounded very legitimate to me. And as a country who has strong ties to China in terms of business and international markets and that sort of stuff, being Australian, it makes me a little bit worried to hear, Cantonese is the new language of international business. That's worrying, because, how can I say this? When it's English, well, that's fine for South Africans and Canadians and New Zealanders and Americans and Australians. There's a bunch of nations that speak English. Places in Europe that speak English as a second language, but are still fluent. And I remember this dude come to, that's years ago. I mean, I graduated from high school more than 20 years ago now, but this dude from Belgium come over as an exchange student, and he spoke French, German, and English fluently. Like, I mean, he had an accent, but there was absolutely no trouble understanding him. So for language to be an international language of business, for English to be the international language of business, I have no problem with that, because it's representative of a whole bunch of people. So it's Mandarin. Now it's that's very elitist. And also, how many characters are in Mandarin in the alphabet? Like 240. You've seen that James Bond one with Michelle Yeoh, where she pulls out this Chinese keyboard, and it's about the size of a car, because it's got to have all the different buttons on it. I find that a bit worrying with all the stuff that's going on. Let's put a little bit of yellow on there to just roll over and let China have it like that. I don't like that so much, because there's business practices happening over here in Australia that they're involved in that are shady and benefit them, not us. And our government's just rolling over for it. And if your government's saying, we will let you suffer so that we profit, or so that the big country that we want to suck up to profits, that shouldn't be your government anymore. They're not government, they're tyrants. I tell you what, our government's in for a wake-up call when the next elections come around. Holy dooly. They are not popular right now. All right, that's looking. I'm happy with that. I'm pretty happy with. Let's have a look. Pretty happy with that. Maybe something in the background. Maybe chuck a color in the background. I wouldn't mind like some red and blue explosions in the background, but I might just leave it like that for now. I think that's pretty good. And I might go on to someone else. I saw some more suggestions. Oh, Hockey said Slimer earlier. I definitely want to draw Slimer, because that would go with the Mr. Stay Puff that we did. I drew it. You guys just hung out. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you all for being here. I'd have to find a picture of Slimer, though. I don't really know what he looks like. That's card number 11. For those who don't remember, so now we've got Peacemaker. And from last week, we have Gladiator Con the Fruiter. I'm definitely going to do that one, Hockey. We got Chod from the Starjammers. We've got Mr. Stay Puft, the Marshmallow Man. Monkey Magic. Stingray, one of my favorite characters. Cable. The Embrace. Raphael. Now, I put a little bit of color on Raphael's belt and bandolier, and I like it better. I'm still not sold on it, but I like it better. Maybe I should make his size. I don't know. We've also got Venom, a tech priest from Warhammer 40k. Now, I was going to work on the silhouette, and I will get back to that one from the Lost Pages by the Zaid brothers. Fantastic book. So that's 11 cards, crazy mad. I've only got 189 to go now. So let's move right along. Let me just grab a browser here and find a picture of my boy Slimer. And just like last time, I've got some chill hop in the headphones playing along. It's just so super chill. It's just such easy listening. I've got to find some that I can play over the background of this to keep that smooth beat going and not get copyright claimed or something. I think I will go with that Slimer. I like the look of that one. Life of an artist is never dull. The life of a parent is never dull. I'm a stay-at-home dad, and it's just mental. All right, let's just double check the camera, make sure you all can see what I'm doing. Cool. All right, let's go. Some nostrils for my boy Slimer. No copyright chill hop. Exactly, that's what I need. I need some of that to. So the beat and the vibe of this stream matches the beat and the vibe. I reckon I could just do this in pen. I don't even need to because this is like cheating. This drawing, it's just this scribbly. Where's my bloody pen? So much detail. Oh, Raiden Radio, thanks for turning up, mate. Hollow Knight. I don't know what that is. But thanks for being here. I mean, I could always Google it, or people could describe. Is it from the game called Hollow Knight? Because I'm like tangentially aware of it, but I don't actually know. Is that like Undertale? What even is Undertale? I don't even know. I don't play games. I play Streets of Rage 4. It's cool just being able to go in with a pen and, this is really sculptural work. You know what it is? It's more like making 3D shapes than it is actually drawing. It's not about the line so much as it is the weight and where it's sitting. I love you too, sweetie. Kid just runs into the room, shouts, "I love you, Dad," and runs off. They're great. I do like Metroidvanias. I love Castlevania Symphony of the Night is actually my favorite game of all time, which is a big call, but I hired that from Video Easy back in the day. My Australian bros know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about Video Easy. That was our Blockbuster. Before your Blockbuster became our Blockbuster, and then there was no more video stores. That just happened suddenly too. It's like video stores. You go and hire like season 3 of Sons of Anarchy, the whole season, and you sit down and watch it in a weekend, and then you went to return it, and thought, I'll go pick up the season 4, and then you went down the street the next day, and there was no video store. It's just all gone. G'day, Forest Publishing. Thanks for turning up, mate. I appreciate everybody who comes by to have a look at what's going on here. Listen to the bants, and I'm just drawing in some pen this time. Just going straight in with pen, not even worrying about the underdrawing, because honestly, Slime is so full of details. You can just cheat. I mean, if anything you misdraw, you just go, well, I meant to do that. It's on purpose. All part of my master plan, So it's not looking very Slimerish. He's looking more ogreish, but we'll fix that. We'll throw a bit of green on it. It's got a small head. Some more of these big fat rolls. I was saying last time, I'm disappointed that fat's become such a pejorative. It's such a great word to describe things. Like fat doesn't have to be a negative thing. Ooh. So I can fit him. I'm even going to be able to fit him on the page now. So this is card number 12. Yeah, Hockey's right. Video Easy does exist, but it's those DVD dispensers at the shopping centres. That's what they've become. Video Easy, it used to be, it was our biggest video store. It was the chain one. It was huge everywhere. Every town had one. And I went and got Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I'd heard about Castlevania. I read the Nintendo books as a kid. As a kid, they'd made these books about like some Mighty Max style child that traveled to different video game dimensions, and amongst them was Simon Belmont. Overcoming Dracula. I read that book so many times as a kid, man. It wasn't even that good, but I love the cover art of Simon in his red and gold armor with the black bodysuit and the whip and the blonde hair. It was just iconic for me. And I saw Castlevania Symphony of the Night on PlayStation 1, and I rented it, and I took it home, and I played it into the wee hours of the morning. Oh, I hate not being able to fit the character on the page. That's on me. Look at here is me being punished for my hubris. Oh, I don't need an underdraw. I'll just go straight in with a pen, dickhead. And I played that game until my eyes stopped working. That's not even an exaggeration. I had to blind man stumble my way back to my bedroom because I played that game so long, till the wee hours of the morning, that my eyes stopped functioning. They said, no, I can't do it. Everything was bleary. I couldn't see straight. It was just masses of shape and color. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's time I head to bed. I'm probably pushing it now. So I love Castlevania. I've only actually beaten it once though, all the way through. And I've bought every time they have a new iteration of it come up, whether it's on PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. I always end up buying it. I've even got on PSP. I mean, come on, who's even got a PSP anymore? Not a Vita, like the old original PSP. Metal Gear Solid 1 is definitely on my list of top games. I mean, it's I want to say, like, I prefer to do a franchise. Like I said, it's one of my top franchise. I don't, not every game in a franchise is good, but I say, like Resident Evil and Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, I only actually really like 2 of the Silent Hill games, but it's still one of my favorite franchises because I can't pick between the 2. So yeah, Metal Gear Solid 1, definitely. I love that balance of, until they ruined it later on with nanomachines, but I love that balance of like barely acknowledged supernatural power that exists just on the periphery, mixed with cyborgs and clones and mutations, all that sort of stuff. It's just a really cool balance of all the things I like best, really. It's a fantastic world, and I felt like with each iteration, aside from 3 was amazing. I played 3 probably more than any other Metal Gear Solid game. I still haven't beaten 5 because it's just a slog. Sometimes these it's open world. You can free roam, do what you want. Sometimes there's too many options. I'm finding that more and more with free roam games. Like, well, what do I do next? Well, you can do anything. Yeah, I could do anything. But what's anything? Like, maybe I just need a little bit of hand holding. And then there's games that are like almost on rails. I mean, saying like Bloodborne and the Dark Souls games, they're not on rails so much. You can explore, but there's only really like 1 or 2 ways in and out of every area. So no matter what you do, you're still sort of getting to that one area. And then there's no bloody map. So I get lost, guys. I got a terrible sense of direction. I want to, turn me around. I'm lost. That really is me. I've worked really hard over the years to try and counteract the fact that my sense of direction is absolute garbage. Because they talk about multiple intelligences, and somebody said that's been discounted. I don't know. I do volunteer work with kids, trying to help them do like their maths homework and stuff like that. And there's some kids that get it and some kids that don't. And it's easy to sort of link all of that just to general IQ, but I'd like to think there's some kids have an aptitude for some things and others. Explains why, my spatial awareness for art is okay, but my spatial awareness in terms of reading a map and transferring it to what I see in front of me is absolute garbage tier. That would explain it. Let's come in with some greys here to add a bit more contrast and go back to the chat. Metal Gear Solid, all-time favorite games. Yep. Skyrim. I can't get into Skyrim. Every time I go and get that claw and go to the burial mound at like the first part of the game and then bring it back and like, okay, now you can do whatever you want. I'm like, I don't really want to do anything. But I've played all the Fallout games through 20 times each, so even like Fallout 4, arguably the worst of them, but in terms of gameplay, arguably the best of them. And I don't know, I can't seem to get into Skyrim. I've never played a Zelda hockey. Never played Zelda. And Darius asked me, will I premiere the Lost Pages review? When will I do that? And did I really review every story? To answer your last question first, yes, I really did review each story individually. And then talked about it as part of a whole cohesive narrative. It's one story being broken up into several parts. You know, you're doing the old man storyteller. Now, I don't like the word trope because to me it's often used in a way that's a pejorative. It's like, oh, well, that's an old tired out old trope. Nobody says, oh, that fantastic, well-used trope that everybody loves. They always talk about the tired, worn-out trope. But I'm seeing a lot of people online saying, oh, trope's not a negative word, and tropes are good, and tropes help you understand, and they're not wrong. You know, like if you do stuff that's familiar, people are going to get it straight away. You know, there's a lot of narrative shorthand that you can use by using tropes, but to me, the word trope just always sounds like a negative connotation. So when I say it, I'm not using it in a negative way. It's the old the old man storyteller trope. You know, like the old guy's telling you stories, and as he tells you the stories, you go into the story and you experience them in a way that the people who are listening to him in the story can't. And then they're all real and they all sort of link together. It's fantastic. So I've got that recorded and edited. I've just got to add some pictures to it. So that should, I'd say probably tomorrow, Daria. I'd probably have the Lost Page. I was meant to do it ages ago. I told Phil I'd do it ages ago, but I also said I was going to be doing this second draw stream about 2.5 weeks ago, and look what happened there. I mean, that's life, guys. You guys know. If any of you guys are parents, I don't know. I don't know if my experience as a parent can't be singular. You know, you have kids, and all of a sudden you got no time and you got no money. You don't even have your own bloody food, man. They just take the food off your plate. Or you go and get something from the fridge or something from the cupboard. Oh, can I have some of that? I mean, you can, but it's only half a packet left, and I really want it for myself. You know. But who's going to say no to the kid when they, please, Dad, can I have some? You know, that who when their child asks them for a fish would give them a snake. That old Bible verse. You know, who's going to say no to their kid on that? Am I going to? I want the packet of chips, but I love my kids, and if it makes them happy, it makes me happy. I don't think it's until you've got kids or until you've in a situation where you can buy anything you want. So for Father's Day, which is coming up in September in Australia, we have a different Father's Day. Is it, or is it Mother's Day that's different? One of them is different. I think it's Father's Day. I could be wrong. Why am I drawing his ex-girlfriend? I don't know, man. She just slid into my DMs. No, I don't even know. This I blame hockey for this one. Put some more contrast on the tongue so those white teeth stand out, same as the eyes. I feel like this needs some green, but I don't know where I'd put the green that's not everywhere. If I'm talking about something and I get distracted, which happens often, and you guys actually want to hear what I had to say, just remind me and I'll get back to it. But I do. Single dad with the custody of a 4-year-old. I appreciate the little free time I get now more than ever before. That's it, man. I mean, the amount of time I spent. This is what people say, oh, why didn't you ever play this game? I don't have time to play games, brother. If I got free time, I'm working on scripts. If I got free time, I'm doing this, or I'm, if I'm not otherwise engaged with my kid or doing the housework and taking care of the house like a kept man, #sugar mama, then I'm doing comic stuff. I'm drawing and I'm writing and I'm coming. I was watching Suicide Squad last night. Like I said, I come up with 3 new story ideas after watching that. These stories have got to be written. Where am I going to put pink gums? I think is that going to be weird? Red tongue, red mouth. Yellow teeth. Yellow and red eyes. That might be it. A little bit of colour. I was complaining to my wife yesterday, I think, about... I've gotten a few invitations lately to come on people's live streams. And I love it. I love live streaming with people. I love coming on and having a chat. I've managed to organise to get on with Pops tomorrow. I think it's 4:30ish your time, 6:30 a.m. my time, so I'll be up early. I love getting on live streams, but it's really hard to balance that with the kids, work, taking the kids to school, keeping the house. Your stuff's got to be done. I've got a sink full of dishes to do as well. That's got to be done. Someone's got to do it. And it's me. It's my job. So, I was saying to my wife, I wish I could get on more live streams. I love doing it. It's a great way to be visible. And it doesn't even have to be a shill stream. Just get on and talk about anything, about the writing process, or just about what's going on in general. And I do feel like there's a bit of a shift away from the bitch streams that have been happening for a while now, where people go, Suicide Squad come out as garbage because of these reasons, and they just absolutely blast it and sit there poking fun at us. I think people are sick of that. People just want to enjoy stuff again. Suicide Squad had some flaws. Oh, yeah, but did I enjoy it? Yeah. Was I disappointed I watched it? No. Would I watch it again? Eventually. I'd rather have watched it than not. I think it was better than the original, but I'm going to be watching the original again before I watch the new one again. And so I was complaining about not having a lot of free time, but at the same time, I wouldn't trade. Like I'm doing this. It looks awful. It looks awful on the screen, but the effect's much more subtle in real life. Anyway, that is number 12. Let's go back to the tropes, the foundation of everything, I believe. It just adds a little more. Yeah, that's it. Tropes. It does have a negative connotation to the word. My boy Dean's here. G'day, Dean. Love you, brother. Thanks for being here. We talked about Colligate. Hashtag Kemosabi did nothing wrong. Hashtag blame Dean. I'm interested to see how you reviewed the character Vane. Which character is that, Dario? Even though it was short demons hiding in plain sight and being exposed by the hunger for bugs. Sorry, Dario. Something's lost in translation there, brother. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I haven't played Fallout 76 much. I played like the opening level twice. The opening sequence twice for about 15 minutes. I just can't get into it. And the funny thing is, my brother's been to ESO. He loves ESO. He's absolutely mad for ESO. Elder Scrolls Online. I can't stand it. It's I don't know who Vane is. There's the silhouette at the beginning. There's Wildcard in the pirate story. There's Taz and Crimstone in Crim in the Crimstone story, and then there's Masquerade in the final story. I don't know who Vane is. I didn't see a character like that in there, brother. I don't know if I got a digital version. Phil sent me through a digital version. Maybe there was a backup story in it that I missed. Yeah, well, they're saying Skyrim's better than ESO. My brother loves ESO. I don't. I think it's an absolute horrible mishmash mess. I tried it the other day again. Yes, it must be from supplemental material, mate. So I would have missed that one, unfortunately. But I'll hit up Phil and see if I can organise something, because I really did enjoy the Lost Pages. I got a Bonza review for it coming out soon. Somebody said they hope that body count's good in Suicide Squad. And yes, he was. He was very likable. Really stole the show after a sort of a slow start. But because Amanda Waller's such a cow, it made him so much more. You're able to empathise with him, So who should I draw next, guys? Hollow Knight. What is a Hollow Knight? Let's have a look. I mean, as long as it's not a female character, because we all know Kemosabe can't draw women. Big muscular dudes in spandex. Easy. Women? Forget about it. All right, I'll give it a go. I don't really like the design, but that's a me problem. Yeah, Viola Davis does do a fantastic Amanda Waller. Con the Fruiter, that's right. Let me forget next time, Hockey. That'll be it. I do feel like CCH Pounder, who plays Amanda Waller in the animated series and who absolutely stole the show in The Shield, which is probably my favorite television show of all time. I think she would have done a great Amanda Waller probably 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but she's getting on now. She's got to be 70 by now. You know, and it's got to, maybe I'll do it that way. It's got to be a limit, I think. I think Jean-Claude's definitely up there, Dario, in terms of, you know, over the top, kick-ass movie. I mean, look, Bloodsport. Bloodsport's so good. Senpai's here. G'day, mate. Haven't seen you around for a while. Thanks for stopping by. Apache Senpai is a very cool dude who is part of this, I suppose you'd call it a writing collective, wouldn't you, mate? That we're all part of and still are. It's gone a bit quiet lately just with the COVID and life and that sort of stuff. But within there's a half a dozen, I'm going to say young fellas because they're probably a bit younger than me. I couldn't say for sure. But I think we've determined that I'm probably the oldest bloke there. Half a dozen young fellas with fantastic ideas, great scripts and characters that, you know, with the crowdfunding, with the way crowdfunding is these days, if these guys were just able to get together a little bit of money to get those sample pages and a cover done sort of thing, I think they'd meet with a lot of success. There's a lot of great stuff come out of that. It doesn't even really have a name, I don't think. But great place to bounce ideas off other people, get feedback on scripts, bit of inspiration, do some collaborative stuff. Absolutely top bloke. So great to see here, man. Yeah, COVID's absolutely smashed people's writing. But then, you know, other people, you know, excuse me again, like, fortunately because I'm at home, I'm able to just write, you know. Man, where's his sword? Let's give him a little sword. Oh, I was thinking of Shovel Knight. I don't know what a Hollow Knight. I don't know what Shovel Knight is either, but you know, they're like phrases that you're aware of. I have heard of this thing. That's about as far as it goes. All right, that was pretty easy. Excuse me. Sorry, need to have a drink. And if my picture wanders off screen, just feel free to let me know in the chat, and I'll try and bring it in a bit closer so you guys can see it a bit better. You can't really see anything until I start putting down the ink anyway. Oh, fuck that up. The kids are playing together nicely. I give it about 5 minutes before we have tears, screaming, and a punch on. The funny thing is the girl, the younger one of the two, she's the one who throws hands. The boy's like, oh, she hit me. I'm like, you're bigger than her. Hit her back. Like, she'll learn. Don't start none, won't be none. Yeah, I remember when I was in school, there's a big fella called Anthony. He's like captain of the football team. Big Aboriginal fella. You know, he's fast. And he's probably a head taller than any other kid in the grade. Excuse me. You didn't walk up to Anthony and start shit. I mean, he didn't walk around beating people up for no reason either. He wasn't like a pointless bully. But if you walk up to him and just started saying some shit to him, and he knocked you out, it'd probably be your own fault. So it was a bit the same with my kids. It's like, look, little one, if you start some shit and your big brother decides to lay you out, I mean, that's on you. That's a life lesson. The guy I used to work with, Matt, he said something similar happened to him. He has got an older sister. She always used to beat him up and push him around, and then he sort of hit 16, and one time she's giving him some shit, so he hit her back, knocked her to the floor, and he said that's the last time she ever laid hands on him. Like, he just sort of realized, hold on, there are some innate biological differences here that give me a distinct advantage in the situation. Boom, sit down. Problem solved. So I'm afraid my little girl's going to learn that the hard way, I think, because you can't tell her. You say, you know, maybe you shouldn't be hitting your brother. You know, it's not a good idea. Knock that off. No, she thinks she knows. So one day she's going to come to me and she's going to say, you know, big brother gave me an uppercut to the chops. I'm like, well, now you've learned. You know. G'day, Fizz. Thanks for turning up, brother. Yeah, I don't know what a Hollow Knight is. I'm like I said to the guys in the chat, I'm like tangentially aware of the character. I know it's a game. And it seems to have gotten fairly universal acclaim. Like, people always speak of it really positively and effusively too. People in the chat were saying that it's, they consider it's one of the best games of the last decade or so. I hear that a lot. You think that would motivate me to play it a little bit more, but it doesn't. It doesn't. Thanks for being here, Planet Tobor. Thanks for turning up. I really appreciate people who could be bothered. I mean, they can be bothered. This is some of your time. I mean, for me, it's the middle of the day. What is it? It's nearly lunchtime. But for you guys, it's your evening. And, you've been at work all day. You come home. What are you going to do? Sit down, watch Kemosabe, do some shit scribbles and talk crap in his dodgy Australian accent? Well, I appreciate that. I don't believe any of that, actually. I'm not... somebody put themselves down. And they say, oh, I'm such an idiot. I never say that. I'm awesome. I love being me. I only ever speak positivity over myself. And if I don't, it's because I'm being sarcastic. I'm being like self-deprecating for effect, not because I actually believe it. I feel like people who put themselves down are doing it to preempt other people. I think I talked about this last time. If you've screwed up, or you're going to screw up, or you're worried you're going to screw up, make a big deal about it. And then when it happens, it's like, oh, I already see you've lampshaded it, It's like when TV shows it's like when the X-Men talk about, well, what do you want to wear? Yellow spandex? It's lampshading. It's like saying, hey, this thing is so dumb. We're aware of how dumb it is. So we're gonna pick on it and point it out so you guys can't. If we say it's dumb, and then you guys go, oh, yellow spandex and Wolverine's so dumb. It's like, yeah, we know. We said it first. And people try to do that. Like, oh, I'm such an idiot. And I'm so dumb, I'm going to screw this up. And then they do. And then they can feel like they're laughing along instead of being laughed at. But they're still laughing at you. And they're laughing at you beforehand when you're putting yourself down. Speak positivity of yourself, guys. You deserve it. Be kings. Even if you're just kings of your own kingdom or your own mind. I don't... yeah. I mean, when you're an adult, I suppose people don't really put you down anyway, unless you're online, and there's some very mentally unhealthy people online. But if I wouldn't tolerate anybody else putting me down, I'm certainly not going to tolerate myself putting me down. I deserve better than that. So his whole body's just a silhouette. That's completely not lazy character design. No, it's very striking with the high contrast. And animated on the screen, I imagine it would look quite striking as well. And visually, very unique. Like it's a visual that somebody would see and then immediately know who that character is. K Manifesto's here. Thanks for turning up, brother. Appreciate you turning up and listening to me talk about life while I draw these pictures. And if you guys have got any suggestions for other characters that I could be drawing, please add them to the chat. I can't guarantee I'll get around to them. Well, that sounds right. I can't guarantee I will choose those ones because, obviously I'm going to choose something that either I find interesting or that I think's within my, I don't want to push myself here. If I try and draw something that's beyond my scope, for example, I've said that I'm not particularly good at drawing women. Like, I know that I struggle to draw women. It's easy to get a big guy. You just draw a big guy. It can be Rob Liefeld. It can be Bart Sears. It doesn't matter. You can be as crazy and over the top as you want. People are going to buy it. It can be like some Backy the Grappler. That's for you, Dario. Type physiques, Fist of the North Star, Jojo. All, big muscles everywhere and abs, and people they believe it. They go, okay, it's grotesque, it's over the top, but I believe it. But if you try and draw a woman and it doesn't come out looking right, it's people point that out. It's this sort of thing where there's a very limited accepted range of how a woman's allowed to look when drawn, and if you don't draw that fits within that category, I think that people are quite judgmental, and I don't think that I'm at a stage where I can easily draw a woman that fits that criteria, probably because I haven't done it enough. If I'm going to be drawing, I'm going to be drawing cool characters. So Kimasabi, you're saying women can't be cool. I'm not saying they can't be cool. I'm just saying they're less likely to be cool. Now, cool is completely subjective. So, read into that all you want. But if I'm going to draw a character, very rarely do I sit down and go, okay, I'm going to come up with a female superhero, a superheroine. Very often my ideas are for superheroes, men, because I'm a man and identify as a man and I identify with men. So I prefer to write, draw, and engage in media about male characters. If I watched Suicide Squad last night, I really enjoyed it. If you change that movie out so every single character was female, I don't even mean gender swaps. I mean, like, pick 6 female DC supervillains and have them be the star of the show, I'd be less likely to watch it, less likely to enjoy it, less likely to watch it again. It doesn't mean I couldn't enjoy it. I probably would. But the whole time to be like, where's the really cool guy that I can not so much self-insert, but identify with, These kids still aren't fighting. This is fantastic. Can you guys hear them? Yes, I think I'm gonna color this whole. It's not too late to it. Well, I have been talking to Dean about how these titty books they do crazy good money. I mean, there's some out there that, and if you're the creator of a titty book, I'm sure I'm not talking about your particular titty book, but there's some out there. I look at it and I'm like, that's not nearly as good as a half a dozen projects I've backed, been involved with, support, whatever, and yet it's making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. I mean, the thirst is real, brothers. People are, it really matters to some of these people. So, I mean, I'm not that ashamed. I'd do a top tier titty book, I reckon, and it'd probably make a good bit of money. Waifus sell for sure. What about a hood with a collar? Daria. Glad you're here, mate. Dean, I was telling him all about our collar and hood debacle and about how pretty much everybody prefers the hood except for me. And I said, what's it called when you're right and everybody else is wrong? And Dean said, well, it's called delusion, Kimasabi. You're deluded. I don't think I am. I still think I'm right, but it's not the hill to die on. It's a great character. It's a great setup. It's a great conceit. It's a great twist. I'm really looking forward to seeing it in print. Dean's agreed to come on board, being the absolute dead set ripper legend that he is, true blue Aussie legend, best guy this side of the black stump. So, I'm not going to sabotage a project over a collar. And Dean, he come back with the hood and he drew it, somehow differently or just a different angle. I don't know. And he made it work. And I think my response was, fuck you, Dean. You get the hood. Fuck you. Because I didn't expect to like it. And he made it work. Okay, so there's Hollow Knight. Let me look at the camera. I've only got the one screen, so I've got to sort of, Isn't it funny how on the picture here, what you can see, this looks like it's really uncolored. But it's not on the card. It's funny how the light and the camera picks up different things. Okay, so that's Hollow Knight done. That's a good one. Is that 14? I think it's. I haven't been signing them. Last time I was signing them. Now, where was Peacemaker? So here's Peacemaker that I did first. Just going to sign them real quick. And then maybe you guys can suggest. Oh, Con the Fruiter, of course. I can't forget again. So these cards are going out to anybody who physically backed the company Men Dead, White and Blue. Thanks for backing. So I need 200 of them to send over to RJ. And this is I think it's number 11. And then he's going to chuck those in with the books themselves as he ships them out. Except for, I suppose, the ones that I'm shipping from here in Australia. I'm doing the rest of the world. So RJ's just doing all of the American ones for, cents on the dollar. It's really good. If you're someone who's shipping books and you've got to ship within the US, talk to RJ from Critical Blast. He's got a fantastic setup. He can hook you up with some great prices and a great infrastructure to get that happening. And I got to ship the other ones here from Australia. So all the German ones, all the Belgian ones, all the English ones, all the Australian ones, they're all shipping from here. So I have to keep some of these cards to pack into those packages as well. I don't know. I suppose I don't imagine there's many people like really seriously looking forward to these. I don't think many people even remember I was doing this. But if there's a couple of people jump on and say, "Oh, here's my sketch card," and other people like, hey, I didn't get one and I backed it, what's up? They'd be pretty upset. So I've got to make sure everybody gets one. All right, Con the Fruiter. Now, if you guys don't know, if you're not Australian and you don't know who Con the Fruiter is, he's this, so politically incorrect, you couldn't get away with it today, but back in the day, holy hell. What's the bloke who actually plays a part? Mark Mitchell. And he plays this this ethnic fruit seller. And he does the accent and he does the whole thing. I don't know, like, I don't even know what I suppose he's supposed to be Italian. Everybody I ever talked to loved the character, but he'd probably get cancelled for doing it today. And his story about how he come up with the character is really quite funny, because he says it's based off a real guy. He went into a fruit store and this bloke was there behind the counter, and Mark says he walked in on his own, and this fella says, "How are you today, gentlemen?" And he said, "I looked around and I was the only one there." Like, this guy, everything this guy does that's a stereotype. He said, "I saw someone do this. I took this character from this guy that I interacted with one time." And I'd say, Con the Fruit is right up there with Poiter, with Kylie Mole, with a bunch of other Australian icons when it comes to sketch comedy and that sort of thing in Australia. But, if you're under the age of 30, you're probably not too familiar with these guys. You wouldn't know who they are. A good picture of Con the Fruiter. I like that one. It's a bit small. That's what she said. Oh, I think I'm funny. Let's zoom. Oh, that's not how you zoom in. All right, let's give this a go. It's a great suggestion, Hockey. Thanks for that, mate. Right, ethnic fruit seller, and there goes Chemo's channel. Well, this shows. I graduated high school 20 years ago, and it was old when I graduated high school. So, it's got to be at least 30 years old, this show. So I have no doubt that if it was done today, that guy would be cancelled for it. I actually think I saw an article recently where he's old now, he'd be 70, and he sort of hit back saying, well, it was of the time. Every Italian I ever met told me they loved the character. It's a bit like the whole Speedy Gonzales thing. He goes, you guys are getting offended on someone else's behalf. Until an Italian comes up and tells me, hey, I watched it in real time, I watched it live, I watched it at the time, and it really offended me. He goes, I'm not too worried about what you guys are saying. Now, if somebody that's young and of Italian descent comes and says to him, hey, Mark, that's a really racist character, it's like, that's cool, but you're like 18 years old. You didn't watch it as it happened. If you watch the character real time back in the 80s, you wouldn't have been offended by it. It was his take. And I think there's some truth to it. I think a lot of people, I've said this to people before, they're like, well, but that's clearly wrong. This country come over and colonized and did this and did that. Yeah, but that's the rules that they were all operating by. That's how they used to do it back in the day. That's like saying, oh, those Aztecs sure were wrong for doing human sacrifice. Shit. Of course, human sacrifice is a bad idea, but their whole society was based around human sacrifice, to the point where it was an honor to be chosen. It's like, hey, Ishmael, congratulations, you've been chosen for the suicide. Oh, you lucky bugger, you get to be sacrificed to the volcano god. How lucky are you? Oh, yeah, man, I've been working for this for years. It's a real honor to be sacrificed to the volcano god. I'm so proud I got chosen. My mum and dad are so chuffed, hey, to have one of their kids be sacrificed to the volcano god. Of course, it's a terrible idea, but this is their society. Look at the bloody oracles of ancient Rome. Where they say, oh, this is what's going to be happening in the future, so everybody act accordingly. And Caesar's like, okay, cool, I want this to happen in the future, so I'm just going to pay you guys off. Moloch sacrifice, where they throw people into a giant bronze bull and boil them alive inside this bull. And the bull's hollering was this scream, combination of the sound of the people screaming as they're being burned alive and the steam escaping from the bull's mouth as they got boiled. That's horrifying. And you say, yeah, of course it's wrong. Their whole society was based around sacrificing living human beings. So to go look at it now and say it's a bad idea, it's a bit twee. Yeah, we know it's a bad idea. Is Con the Fruiter a bad idea? It wasn't a bad idea at the time. Your mileage may vary on whether it's a bad idea today. I'll still find it funny. And if some Italian wants to come and tell me that me finding it funny bothers them, we can have a conversation about that. But it hasn't happened yet, so I'm going to continue to find it funny. How much of this stuff do you want to lose? You guys seen that meme that's been getting around lately? Fizz, if you're going to be negative, mate, just fuck off, all right? Oh, volcano gods. Who's even talking about volcano gods? Alts, Fizz, what are you even talking about alts for? Who even knows what an alt is? Unbelievable, mate. I'm just riffing here. I'm just freestyling. I don't know what I'm talking about. Fizz, don't go fact-checking me. Somebody had volcano gods. The meme that's been getting around, it says if you replace your morning coffee with green tea, it says you can reduce, and it's going to say like you can reduce your fat by 87% or your stress, but it says you can reduce your joy by 87%. You know, it's like, yeah, we can go all holistic on everything, but you know, how much are you going to enjoy it? I've tried to do the whole no bread, no sugar. Should I put hands on this? Am I just asking for trouble if I draw hands on this guy? I mean, this is a more realistic picture. I could be asking for big trouble screwing this up. I tried to do like no sugar, no bread and that sort of stuff, but I just love the Maccas too much. I know it's not good for me. I know it's absolute poison garbage, but you know, the good Macca's burger certainly makes me joyful. So you sort of got to decide what's more important, you know. If you want to get rid of all this, all the stuff that offends people, you're not going to have any joy left because something's always going to offend somebody. I don't know if I want to live in a world where cold food is a bad idea. Steve Irwin wrestling a croc might be a. There you go. Polynesians had the volcano gods, and you know, if I'm bigoted enough that a Polynesian's basically the same as an Aztec anyway. So there you go. How many cards left? I think this is card number 15, so 185. It's all good. It's all good. Let's go on with some ink now. He's not looking too much like Calder Fruiter. It's not a particularly good likeness, but it's not a bad picture either. I'm just going to go check on those kids, make sure they haven't ganked each other, and I'll be right back. Thanks for hanging around. Yeah, fine. There's no blood. All right, let's go on with some ink on Con. Can you guys see the... He's looking more like Ron Jeremy. He does look like Ron Jeremy. Man, that dude got in some trouble, didn't he? Here's this guy. I read his autobiography. I don't know, because we're at Byron Bay, the missus and I. This is not a good start to a story. We're at Byron Bay for like a second honeymoon. You know, we were going to start trying for kids, so we thought we better do that. We went to Byron Bay for our honeymoon the first time round. It was fantastic, just magic. We just ate every meal out. Got fantastic food at Byron Bay. It's a French restaurant, escargot, just amazing. Some of the great times. So we said, let's do that. Let's have like another honeymoon before we start trying for kids, and everything comes to become about that. And we got there, and it bloody rained. It rained the whole time. It rained for the whole week we were there. We were booked in for 2 weeks. We left after the first because I mean, what's Byron Bay with rain? What are you going to do? The whole thing's beaches. You couldn't walk anywhere. You couldn't go anywhere. And the first time we stayed there on our honeymoon, we stayed in like a self-contained apartment. You got your own kitchen, your own everything. Anyway, the missus gets this brilliant idea to stay in what do you call it, like a touristy backpackery type thing where you got your own room, but it's like a shared kitchen, a shared everything else. Absolutely dreadful idea. I don't know, like it was cheaper, but it's not like we couldn't have afforded it at the time. I think she thought it would be, urbane something. And it was awful because we were clearly the oldest people there, and everybody it was all the young people, teenagers, early 20s. They were so horny. They're all so desperate to hook up with each other, and just like the pheromones in the common room was just shocking. Like, we spent most of our time in our little room, and it was basically just a bed with a door because the kids are so horny. It was really cringe watching them all like sleaze up and hit on each other and fail and try again, move on to the next person. Like they were all just there to have a root. It was really awful. So we spent a lot of time in the room, and I read a few books. And one of them that was on my Kindle was Ron Jeremy's Autobiography. And so here's this dude with by his account, 10 3/4 inch trouser python. And when he was a young fella, he was skinny and he's fit and everything. I don't know what happened. He hit the wall hard. I don't know if it's just like if he's got a big one, he decides he doesn't have to work so hard for it anymore. He's just got it on tap because he's doing porn. But he poor crikey, he's what I imagine. Like you put some big biceps on him. He's what I imagine Wolverine really looks like in the comics. So here he is, this guy with his massive dork, getting all kinds of porno action with women young enough to be his granddaughter, and then he gets done for 200 counts of sexual harassment. Why do you guys want me to draw all these realistic people for? This is no fun. I'm going to draw comic book characters. Can you... Hockey, did you back the company, man? I will make sure you get Con the Fruiter if you want it, because nobody else is going to know what it is. Everyone's like, why did you send me this great guy holding apples? This is the worst a meal, a succulent Chinese meal. Democracy Manifest. I saw a follow-up interview with that guy years later. It's pretty entertaining. He does paintings of the event now, and they're pretty good, actually. He's not bad with the old brush and can by, so yeah, see if you can track down that. I used to be a lot better at doing likenesses, because at art school you'd have to draw yourself all the time. You know, you're the only model you have that never says no to being drawn. I don't know what else you're doing with your models. You guys keep your minds out of the gutter. I also maintain that aside from, I don't know, doctors or something, I've probably seen more penises than any guy my age, simply because of all the male models that come through the life drawing classes there. Like, you know, you're looking at, you see half of them are women, half of them are blokes. It's more like 30-60 really. It still means you're looking at like 2 different dicks a week that's not your own. So, but you know, you're always drawing yourself, so I used to be a bit better at doing this sort of thing with the likeness. I don't think I certainly haven't maintained it, so I don't think I'm as good as I used to be. It doesn't really look like him too much. So, Hockey, this one's for you, mate. Yes. Okay, Hockey. Rooster Cogburn, that's a good one. That's a good one. See, now, somebody who's kept up with their art might art school drawing wangs. That's where it was, man. I mean, if I said I saw more penises and I hadn't gone to art school, you'd be wondering, what is my vocation? Rooster Cogburn is fantastic. Somebody who's kept up with their art a little bit better might have like a cartoony caricature style where they're able to, you know, take the likeness of somebody but simplify. You know, there's people that do that sort of thing where you can tell that it's, I don't know, Matt Hardy or someone, not Matt Hardy, what's his name? Tom Hardy, I was thinking of the actor, not the wrestler. You can tell it's him, but it's in this real Steven Universe type style, but it's still clear that it's him, you know? Like, that's a talent in itself. I don't know if I admire it. I might admire the end product, if not the talent itself. John Wayne, not Jeff Bridges. I didn't even consider Jeff Bridges. Not that he did he did a good job, but I mean, you know, when you want to talk iconic, that'd be like saying, okay, that'd be on the same level as saying, oh, draw Walker Texas Ranger, but do the Chuck Norris version, not the one with the guy from Supernatural. Of course, it's going to be the Chuck Norris version. That Supernatural one was atrocious. I'm still trash talking that, and it's been months. I was actually thinking of doing a video on it about how bad it was, comparing the first episode, the pilot episode of the Chuck Norris Walker Texas Ranger with the new one with the Supernatural guy in it, to show, you know, how writing has changed. I don't know. I've talked to Jason Black about some of my video ideas in the past. Like, I want to do a video on this, and he's like, yeah, that'll bring in a lot of viewers. I'm like, I'm sensing some sarcasm, Jason, even in the written form. He's like, if you're going to make videos that people are actually going to want to watch. Like, ow, okay. So, you know, the original Walker pilot, it starts with him pulling up in a bar in Mexico outside of his jurisdiction and undoing the back hitch of his ute and dropping the back door of the ute open, because he goes inside and he beats the hell out of like 6 guys and then throws their unconscious body in the ute, takes them back to America to be prosecuted. Like, that's how it starts. The modern one starts with him drunk in a park, getting harassed by a brave Latinx POC BIPOC police officer. And instead of saying, oh, I'm a Texas Ranger, I got a bit of clout here, just leave me alone, he just sort of kowtows to it. And then, of course, the next morning when he reports back for duty for the first time in years after his wife died and he's all hungover, she's his new partner. And it's just White Man Bad, the TV series. And there's no action. Like Walker, every episode, there's an explosion, there's a car chase, there's a shootout, and there's a punch-up. Every single episode, without fail. You can't... I'm 5 seasons in. I haven't seen one that doesn't have those 4. Walker told me I have AIDS. I only watched that episode a little while ago. And, it's funny. I've said this to my wife about the show. Like, I know that it's really heavy-handed. I know that it's... not forced. Like, he knows his audience. Like, Chuck Norris is a devout Christian who's got his book. He's got like his tenets, the 6 tenets that he lives life by. It's basically 6 of the 10 commandments. Like, he's really about self-improvement, not getting stuck on problems from the past, mistakes from the past. Like he said, he's got an illegitimate child, for example. He's like, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have cheated on my wife. But now I've got this kid out of it. I'm not going to regret it. So he's all about self-improvement and getting better. And that episode with the AIDS, like a lot of them, it's heavy-handed and it's playing to the audience. But it got me, man. It got me. This little kid, it's the kid out of Sixth Sense, I think. Haley Joel was, whatever. And he is a 2-episode one as well, like a double episode where they go back to back. And it was heartbreaking because for the first time ever you see, Walker's basically acting like a dad. Alex is always trying to get him to get married and settle down, and he's not keen because, he's Walker. He's got a duty to the rest of the universe to keep it safe. And then he's a dad to this kid, and the little kid loves him. And it's just, I was tearing up at the end where the little kid kicked off because he has AIDS. And, this is back in the 90s. There's no prep back then. He wasn't going to survive. And even though it was fairly heavy-handed and even formulaic, it doesn't mean that it didn't work. It still did the job. It's still a story about a little kid that inherited AIDS from his drug addict mum, not his fault. And for a short period of time, he got to live with basically Walker as his dad, being told that he is worthwhile, he has worth, he is of worth, he is loved. I mean, there's some big feels right there, guys. And I know some people are cynical about that sort of stuff. They want to be down on it and point to, oh, it's so cheesy. It was a bit cheesy, but it still worked. So many people are so worried about what other people are watching these days. Why would you watch that for? It's rubbish. Okay, so it's rubbish. Fuck off out of my lounge room. What are you doing here? I wouldn't, I wouldn't tell you guys not to watch the new Walker. I'd just tell you why I think it's garbage. If you bothered to tune into the video that I made, I'm not going to come into your DMs and start saying, hey, you're not watching that new Walker show, are you? Because it's no good. Sometimes people have got, there's that texter. Sometimes people have got to learn. They've got to learn that it's, it's like the new He-Man. I haven't even commented on that. I knew it was going to be woke garbage. I love He-Man. It's my first favorite cartoon when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut because I thought I could be an astronaut and go to Eternia to meet He-Man. Like, that's how we knew it all was. Didn't even occur to me that why would this cartoon be real? Why would nobody else? Why is nobody talking about the fact this other world that exists? Why, why did they take what was ostensibly a real world, turned it into a cartoon, and broadcast it on Australian television? It didn't make any sense in any metric, but it mattered to me. He-Man's, moral of the story, every episode, that sort of thing. So I was big on that, and I wanted to do that, and I knew that Kevin Smith was going to destroy it. But what's the point in talking about it? Because I can't stop it from happening. I don't do videos for the clicks and the outrage and there's guys out there who, I've said this on another stream or something. I said, there's guys out there, I'm sure, when they see, something like this new He-Man, they're rubbing their hands together. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to get some good videos out of this. They're more happy that they're going to be getting good videos out of this than they are angry that a show they loved has been destroyed. Kind of want to say their names, but you guys know who I'm talking about. And I'm not saying they're wrong to do it. I'm just saying, they're whinging and bitching and going, oh, this new show's terrible. Yeah, but you're making money off it. And it could be a case of it's going to be terrible, so I might as well make money off it. That's fair. But I don't feel like they really mind too much. I feel like if you gave them a choice, if you said, hey, you guy, whose name I'm not going to say because he's got a much bigger fan base than me and I don't need his stance. Man, I said something in somebody's Twitter feed the other day. I just sort of said, "Oh, look, I disagree with that opinion. I think this isn't too bad at all." And his stands, his fans, they come after me hard, man. They were mad. I'm like, why does what I think matter to you? So, like, if you think I'm wrong from way over there. I don't know why you care. Because this guy's putting his opinion forward. I'm like, well, have you considered this? This might change somebody's mind. No, it was on for young and old. They were mad at me, boy. They come after me hard. I really didn't understand it. Yeah, outraged tourists. You know, is he really mad that He-Man's garbage? If you gave him the choice, said, hey, look, we can change time. He-Man won't be garbage. It'll be awesome. Be exactly what you guys have always wanted. But that means you can't do your outrage videos on it. Would they take that offer? I don't think so. I think they'd be like, no, it's fine. It's fine. Kevin Smith's put my kids through college. It's all good. I've heard one guy who does, you know, like outrage type reporting type videos on pop culture type stuff. He says he makes, if he doesn't, what does it say? There's either, if he doesn't make $3,000 a video or doesn't get at least, must be $3,000 a video. If the video doesn't do at least $3,000, he considers that a loss. Like, that's where this guy's operating at. Like, $3,000 per video is his minimum. I'm happy to get triple figures viewing one of my videos. If I get 100 people watching my video, I'm ecstatic. That's a big day for me. This guy's making $3,000 per video. I'm not going to ever make money off indie comic book reviews. So when these guys are like, oh, He-Man's so terrible, I'm like, yeah, do you really care though? Do you really care? I feel like that just bought you a new widescreen TV, big flat screen TV. I don't think you really mind. I don't think you would undo it if you could. Whereas me, if they said, hey, would you like a He-Man that looks as good as that one did that Kevin Smith just put out, but it's got all the stuff you want in it and none of the woke crap, yeah, I would take that. Because I don't have that financial investment. I don't know who any of those people are. I don't actually. Thanks, Crazy Matt. I don't watch a lot of that sort of stuff. I don't. I've heard Dean talk about someone called Az, and he says, I think Dean said that he was pretty funny. And I've heard of Geeks and Gamers because they had some, I don't know, like some dust up with EVS or something a while ago, I think. But I don't watch a bunch of that sort of stuff. Hey, Ryan Cardinal. Thanks for being here, mate. Ryan's responsible for the fantastic redraw of my avatar, which I really appreciate because it looks great, and I feel like it gives me a whole new level of professionalism. I think Con the Fruit needs a little bit more color in his face though, so I'm just going to put a little bit of. Yeah, I don't watch a lot of those outrage merchants because I already feel bad about stuff. I don't need to be made to feel more bad. You know, who needs the anger? I was an angry teenager, guys. I spent enough time being angry. I'm definitely a grass is greener. I mean, I whinge to Dean and the boys sometimes about stuff, but I can't, like I said, I can't change it. So there's not really much point. I'd rather talk about what I do like, things that are good, you know. I feel like his whole shirt needs a layer of color. Not color, but tone. Just to differentiate it from the background and from his skin. I need more contrast is what I'm after. These little pens are okay. They're not like your, is it Copic? Coptic? Copic. I think it's Copic. It's not like them where they're alcohol based and they dry really quickly and you can build them up in layers. I mean, you can build these up in layers, but they're really just fancy textures with a brush tip. But they're smooth. I like them. I think that's better. That's better. All right. And this one I can personalize because I know it's going to hockey. More grease. I'm just gonna give him. Con's got green eyes, so I'm going to give him green eyes. This is a little bit of spot color. I'm tempted to do the apples red, but it's too red, you know? The apples that... Yeah, I don't know. Hey, Odin, thanks for being here, mate. Dan Dahl, thanks for turning up, guys. Appreciate you stopping by and listening to me ramble while I draw some pictures. So this should be... I think this is number 15. 14, really? It can't be 14. 11, it is 12, 13. Is this 14? Hell, I thought I'd done 15. Well, this one's for hockey because I know I'm going to be able to send it to him directly. That texture doesn't work. I need to get some new Sharpies. $11, $12, $13. This must be $14. I'm shattered. I thought I'd already done $15. All right, there we go. What did you say, Rocky? Hockey? What did you say that's so rude? Did you say whinge about Dean? No, I whinge to Dean and the boys about all sorts of stuff that I don't like. Okay, so there's Con the Fruiter, absolute legend of Australian comedy TV. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. Don't feel bad about it. It's like that. So there's this guy, Sven Gooley, and like, okay, you go do a wee. Thanks for letting me know. #DagLife. Like half of the world, half of America seems to know who this Sven Gooley guy is. He's like a cross between Rob Zombie and Ron Jeremy again. Why does Ron Jeremy keep coming up? Figuratively, not literally. Okay, I've got to go help her do a wee. I'll be right back. You look at Con the Fruiter. You see, the toilet bowl's too high for her to climb up on her own. There is a lot of cool people here, Dan. You're right. I didn't know. I don't look up at the chat as often as I should. What did you say about Ron Jeremy? Yeah. Well, this is how we sort of got onto it. I think I was talking about Ron Jeremy and Hockey and suggesting Con the Fruiter as a character to draw. So that one's for Hockey. I wasn't going to do a lot of headshots, and then that one come along. So yeah, a lot of people seem to know who Sven Gooley is. I don't. Same sort of thing in Australia. You could say Con the Fruiter. I reckon if they're European descent, and I'm counting Italy as part of that, and over the age of 30, they're going to know who Con the Fruiter is. If they're of a different ethnicity or they're below that age, they just won't know. And that's okay. Betty Ford, I don't know who that is. It's like the Betty Ford Clinic. Let's have a look. Somebody suggested Rooster Cogburn, which is always a good choice. And Walker. But they're all real people. Like that's, you saw how much longer it took me to draw Con the Fruiter than it did to draw any other character. We'll do Odin. I'll probably catch up with you this Savo. Couple of days. Beautiful. Judge Hirsch, woman. I can't draw women Apache. Crazy Mad, what country are you in? Because if you're not American, I can personalize it to you because I've sold roughly 200 books and 85% of them are sold in America. So 15% sold to Australia and the rest of the world. See, that's tricky. I can put a little note on there saying, hey, RJ, can you chuck this in with Crazy Mad's order? But there's no guarantee it's going to be able to be corresponded with your parcel. Whereas if you're in UK, for example, I'd be packing your book. I'd be able to put it in directly. So it makes it a bit tricky. I will draw Rooster Cogburn because he is an absolute dead set legend. But I'll chuck a little note on it and I'll ask RJ if he can try and correspond that with yours. The man, the myth, the legend, Rooster Cogburn. Up in Rooster, you get Rooster Teeth, Rooster Booster, and Rooster Cogburn. Glad to say I only know what one of those things is. I did like the beard on Jeff Bridges' Rooster Cogburn. I thought it was very. I like that picture. I'm going to use that picture as the base. That's a good one. The Duke. No, there's no theme, Dan. It's just characters, just any character you can think of that you'd like to see me draw. I can't promise it'll be any good because I'm not that good, but I'm okay. I'm okay. You guys are still here. If I was really bad, you wouldn't be here because you certainly didn't turn up to listen to me talk. I'm doing these for people that have backed the company Man Dead, White and Blue. They're reward cards. I said if I managed to get to 300 people signed up for the book, for the mailing list, I would give a sketch card to everybody who backed physically. Obviously, I can't give a sketch. No, go for it. 6. I mean, Napalm Brothers is one of my top 10 books of 2020. It's one of my favorite indie books. You can share your stuff on my channel anytime, brother. You never need to ask. Just go right ahead. It's just a whore of a channel on its back with its legs spread, waiting for you to promote. So anybody who backed physically, obviously, I can't. Give a sketch card to people who do a digital backing because then I'd be putting myself out on the cost of posting it all around the world. And honestly, I mean, I'm not losing money on the digital, and I sold a few of them. Like a few people said to me, "Oh, you shouldn't have done digital." I'm like, I get you, but I sold like 100 of them. So if I didn't sell those, my numbers would be a lot worse. I don't know if I'll keep doing digital. I'm thinking what I might do is I'll do digital for Company Men Dead, White and Blue, the whole thing, issues 1, 2, and 3. And then for the rest of the Company Men books, I'll just stick with physical. So then the Company Men Dead, White and Blue is out there. It's going to get pirated, I know. People will see it, and if they like it, they might come back for the second one, and if they don't, they don't. But I don't think, as I get all the way to there, I don't think I'll keep doing digital because even though it's a bit of extra free money, I do feel like there's people who maybe might have gone physical. I mean, the shipping rate was really, really cheap, and people still went with the digital. And that might change after I've delivered a book. There's also an element of that. I've heard people say, "Look, I like the look of your book, but until you deliver, I've been burned too many times. Until you deliver, I'm not going to back your book," which, as much as I get, bugs me because that means I'm paying for the sins of someone else. And whether it's because of a 2-letter association or whether it's just indie books in general, I mean, I come to the table with 100% of the book done, the art, and it's still not enough. I'm like, I can show you page 60, like it's done. Like, yeah, it's still not enough for me. I need to see the book printed and ready to go. So, he's looking too young. How do I get that thickness that Rooster Cogburn's got? I need to move this collar down so I can draw his neck because he's got... You guys make me draw all these bloody real-life characters, real-life people. I'm gonna have to draw Walker later as well. Like, I can't draw Rooster Cogburn and not draw Walker as well. Come on. Now, the eye is the important part. If you can get the eye right... And sorry for any comments that I don't get to. It's not that I'm drawing. I gotta pay attention to what I'm doing. If I'm not, what are you guys here for? Oh, this is tricky. You really pushing me, man. If you haven't seen True Grit, watch them both. They're both worth watching. The remake is one of the few remakes I've ever seen that I think it's not as good as necessarily, but it honors the original in a way that a lot of remakes don't. A lot of remakes just want to do their own thing and push their own agenda or change things around for no reason. I mean, it's not a one-for-one swap, but it's pretty bloody close. But then my missus was watching the remake of Footloose the other day, and she was cross because it was a one-to-one. She goes, there's nothing. She goes, literally scene for scene. It's just updated, more modern cameras, younger, updated actors and actresses. I suppose they're all actors now, aren't they? All right, Crazy Man, I'm going to find a way to get Rooster Cogburn to you. I don't know how. Whether you want to hit me up privately with your message and I will post this to you. But you're a bro, you're a dude, you're a legend. I'm glad you're here, and I'll make sure you get Rooster no matter what. But I get to the end of it, you might not want it anyway. You might go, no, that shit, I don't want it. Fizz has got a great point. Supernatural went out on a whimper, but Walker Texas Ranger started on a whimper. That's Fizz. That's I might use that in my review if you don't mind, because that's spot on. It's disappointing how It's like they did on purpose. So what's the most alpha testosterone show that hasn't been remade, that people are still aware of, but it's not been done so recently, or nothing like it's been done so recently? And they said, well, that's Walker, Texas Ranger. I mean, the amount of testosterone in that show. Look at your dead mum pregnant from across the road. That's the phone. Nobody calls me on the phone. I'm not answering it. We've got a landline, but like, the only people who ever call me are my mum, my brother, and my wife if she's not home. So, which means it sounds really bad. I wasn't going to go answer the phone because of my mum. It's not that. I'm going to leave that eye and come back to it. Hey, thanks, Dan. I appreciate that, mate. Whether you got the digital, or whether you got the Barton Brothers exclusive cover, whichever one you got, I'm just happy that people are buying this book and giving me a chance to tell them a story. You know, and if you are a fan of Suicide Squad and that sort of stuff, there's elements of that in it. You know, it's very much bad guys doing good things, which I know there's an audience for. They keep remaking Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad comic keeps getting relaunched time and time again. Like, I know there's an audience for bad guys doing good things. That's one of my favorite, what do you call it, genres? Is it even a genre? I don't know if it is, you know, but I've also got a bunch of really wholesome heroes. I've got street level vigilantes. I was talking to you guys last time about my not Stingray character, and that's just like a throwaway idea. Somebody said, you know, nobody's ever done anything with Stingray. I'm like, I fucking love Stingray, man. I could write Stingray. So I did. I wrote a 6-issue miniseries, and I realized Noel's never going to let me do it. So I rejigged it into my own character. I don't mind this drawing with the brush. This is pretty loose. I feel Japanese. I'm going to get cancelled for that too. That's fair. That's fair, 6. Let's make that happen. Hit me up on in the DMs, and we'll organise that. He's going to trade me an omnibus, all 3 issues of the Napalm Brothers, which is an excellent indie book, one of my favourites that's come out the last couple of years. He's going to trade me that for a copy of The Company Men and a Macho Man Randy Savage cut. I think that's a very fair trade. So I'm all over on that like white on rice. I'm putting down these greys, but I know I can go back over it with the pen if it's too loose, or if it's not really working for me. You know, this thing I do like about working like this. It's been ages since I've worked with ink. It's been ages since I've done any drawing, aside from the last time some of you guys might have stopped by. I like the looseness of it, that you can just sort of, you know, sweep across and almost like letting it do its own thing. It's got a bit of its own life. Oh, did you guys see that? Dean says Kemosabe can't go 5 seconds without saying something incredibly racist. Well, the thing is, Dean, my boy, my friend, my lad, it didn't used to be racist. You know? The stuff that I'm saying didn't used to be racist. Then I feel like Rip Van Winkle. I've gone to sleep. I wake up and now everything's racist, and I don't even know. I can't even stop putting my foot in it. Boys are always calling me on it. Oh, that's a nice curve. Did you guys see that? I hope that come up on the screen. That was a nice swoop. I like that. That was good. It's looking sort of Rooster Cogburn-ish. Still a ways to go. I'm liking this pen, man. This is good. I'm down. I'm liking the looseness of it, the immediacy. We spend so much time that's what I was going to say. Did you see that picture of the silhouette that Rocafort did of Diaz Brothers' silhouette character? Holy dooly. That was a piece of bloody work of art, mate. That was amazing. That was an amazing, what a gift. I don't think he's commissioned. Like, it sounded like I hope he wasn't bloody commissioned, because I've no, because there's a bunch of big name guys that are, you know, like CG, indie, whatever now, ex-pros, and you see them do work for people, and it seems very selective who they do work for. It's like my dollars convert and spend just as well as anybody else's, you know, but you contact them and you just don't hear back. And like, you're hiring more than just the picture that they draw for you. It's the name recognition as well. If you're too busy, just tell me you're too busy. Just say, oh, look, yeah, sorry, man, I don't know you, or I don't like your brand, or I don't want to be associated with you, or I'm too busy, or I'm not doing that right now. I'm backed up with whatever. Like, don't just not respond. I don't like that. And then you see, someone else getting some work done. You're like, well, shit, I could have paid. Well, what did he pay you? I could afford that. But it doesn't matter because I got a fantastic pinup by 6-Scale Combat, and it was a fantastic picture of Abbott, and I love it. So, fuck all these ex-pros. I don't see them doing any work for me. Just out of the goodness, just out of the love of their hearts. But that, I've never hit up Rockerford for a piece of work. I'm just saying, like, ex-pros in general. There's a couple of sort of said, hey, what's your rates? What's going on? I've seen you doing work for people I wouldn't mind to cover or whatever, and they just don't get back to you. But that Rockerford piece was fantastic. I was thinking about it because of the brushes, like I'm using 2 different tones, and he just had the brush and the ink and the water, and he must have got 1,000 different shades of black and grey and more grey out of that brush. It was amazing. I feel like I need to go back in with some liquid paper. And I've got white ink now. I went and bought white ink, but I didn't buy it for this. I bought it for doing a Zenithal Light source undercoat on my miniatures, because I'm a big old Warhammer 40k fan. People say I'm a comic nerd. Still think nerd sounds like a pejorative. I think like people trying to reclaim it, like, that word. I don't know if it's working. I'm still not comfortable with the word. I can't see the chat. I realize that. Thanks, guys. People being complimentary in the chat. I appreciate that. I told you guys last time I'm definitely a words of affirmation type person. It'd be cool if I go get the white ink out of the shed, which I'm using for undercoating miniatures, and use it just to put a few sprigs of white hair in Rooster over here. It's the important bit, the eye and the rest of the facial details. I'm leaving it till later. I do enjoy doing these streams with you guys. It wouldn't be as much fun doing it on my own, though. Even when I started this one today, I thought I better wait for a few people to turn up. I feel like a bit of a goose talking to myself, but, I did, and you guys turned up and you're here, and I really appreciate that. How many more times can I say that? Fantastic movie. If you haven't seen True Grit, go check it out. It's a classic for a reason. I've got a story similar to True Grit. I like Westerns. I really like Westerns. And I write novels. And I write, amongst other things, Western novels. And I got one, and it's kind of like True Grit, but in like a post-apocalyptic alien cyborg desert world. So there's a lot of similar elements there. But the guy who's the Rooster-esque character is, I should be using a lighter color for that. He's a much worse person than Rooster. So his redemption is more impactful. Like, Rooster's not a bad guy. He's just selfish. He's used to doing things his way. He wants what he wants. He doesn't have time for other people's. He's like your uncle. He's like everybody's uncle. That old grizzly uncle that's just too old to really get you at all. And even when you're 20, you still look like a baby to him because he's just from another time. Like, all my uncles were worked with the Mustangs and the wild horses and out in the outback. They're all cattle blokes and everything. So they're these rough, tough, bow-legged cowboy type guys, and like my oldest uncle on my mum's side, he was an adult when she was born. Like, when he was 20 something when she was born. So there's a huge age gap between them. She's one of 11. And so what do you have in common? It might be your brother, but what do you have in common with someone when the age gap is that severe? You don't. That's 20 years is a generation. And my mum's basically said the same sort of thing. Like, it might be a brother, but in a way, he's the age that you'd expect your father to be. But he was gone by the time she was born. He was already off. He left home at 14, left school at 12, left home at 14 to go work with the cattle out in the outback and that, work with breaking horses and bullock teams, back when bullock teams used to be a thing. So, different world. My mum's this really esoteric sort of combination, mishmash, amalgam. She was born right on this time when people in Australia were just starting to move away from kerosene lamps towards electricity, but she grew up on a farm, so they still churned their own butter and killed their own meat. She had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get the cattle in for milking. And she tells a story that her and her siblings, the younger ones, because they sort of come in packs, I suppose you'd call it. There's 11 of them after all. They'd have to stand in the cow manure to keep their feet warm because they only had one pair of shoes. And that was your church shoes. That was your good shoes. So you didn't wear them to school and you didn't wear them to go get the cattle. So you had to walk around barefoot all day. They were desperately poor. That's where she come from. So she's got this, here she is with a smartphone, buying stuff off Amazon, but at the same time, she grew up churning butter and bringing the cows in and not having electricity and having the one pair of shoes, only get the one present at Christmas time because that's all you could afford. Everybody, because with 11 kids, you can only afford one present each. You didn't get, like kids today, get hundreds of presents. She's a very interesting lady. I've often told her that she should do like an autobiography because she's a link between how things used to be and how they are now. I feel like I want to do something with this background. I'm not quite feeling it. Anyway. Oh, I'm a blue eye because we all know the Duke had those baby blues. Reminds me of that lion snake. He needs some more wrinkles is what he needs. I've drawn him much too young. New contribution to the company, man. Dead, white, and blue. Thanks, Dan. See, there's a texture that you're just not going to get without some serious cross-hatching. I feel like it needs maybe a white, you know what I mean? Like a white background, a white line, and then color this in. You guys even see that? So last time I did one of these, I went for 4 hours. I don't imagine I'm able to fit 4 hours in today, but must have been going for at least an hour by now. So maybe if I can just do an hour a day, just to try and keep on top of it. A bit tricky though, is now they've got we're in lockdown now. Dean, I feel your pain. I now know what you're going on about. It's pretty awful. Not the socialization, like I'm real misanthropic. I don't really need a lot of people. But, you know, the missus is only allowed to go into work. Thanks, Hockey. See you later, mate. Let's have a look how that looks on the camera. I don't know if it immediately comes across as John Wayne. I think I need a little bit more work on the mouth. The lips, you've got very thin lips, John Wayne. A lot of those guys did. They probably didn't talk much, so, I mean, lips are really just for eating. And, you know, these old West guys, I don't imagine they did a lot of kissing their women either. They'd just be like, all right, I'm home. Get them knickers off. Here comes baby number 15. All right, I'm done. No, you sort yourself out. I'm good. I'm good. Make me a pie. There we go. All right, so that's for my boy Crazy Mad. And somehow I will get this to him. We'll work it out. Crazy Mad says he loves the stories about liberal Hollywood hating John Wayne until they worked with him and then they respected him. Which I have no doubt. I don't know how a guy like him, who seemed by all accounts to be a fairly straight shooter and a real man's man, how he managed to tolerate Hollywood even back then. There's no way you could do it today. I don't know how he put up with them. I sometimes think, like if any of my properties got big and they got Hollywood bound, I wouldn't want to go there and deal with it. I'd be like, pay me my what do you call it? You option it. Pay me that. Pay me more royalties. Pay me my percentage, whatever, and then don't talk to me. Just go Alan Moore on that shit, because I don't think I'd be able to handle these awful people out there. Thanks. And this one, I'm sure this one is number 15. Yes, King. Number 15 for my boy Crazy Mad. All right. Thanks, Tobor. I appreciate that. I think I'm being a bit more gentle with myself with these. Like, we're always our own worst critics. How many left? Well, if that's 15, 185. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Has anybody got any suggestions? Carchara. I don't know what that is. I like how Dean's answer comes back. Carchara, like a minute later, like you had to do the arithmetic, like you had to take your socks off to work. Yeah. Carcharo. What the hell's a Carcharo? Aggro! Like from Aggro's Cartoon Connection. A mutant born with shark-like characters. Is that just King Shark? No. The man shark is a genetic experiment by the mind behind the second wildcat, his cousin. I mean, okay. Shark Man. There's been a few different versions of King Shark. I'm not familiar with this guy. All right, that's cool. He's got a bit of a different look. Oh, I can draw that. I think that'd be pretty easy, actually. Street Shark, Biker Mice, that's a good one. Card 90 to 185 will be increasingly abstract. Yeah, you're not wrong, mate. When you say it like that, when I'm like, I've got 15 done, like, okay, cool. In another, 70 odd cards, you're gonna have card 90 done, and then you've only got another 90 to get to 185. Like when you put it like that, I'm like, shit, I've got so many to do. I might have to. I was talking about this last time. I might have to start doing some of these in my own time. But if I do, what is it? It's 1 o'clock. How long have we been doing this for? You guys are going to get sick of it eventually anyway, and won't keep turning up. Oh, I can't draw Simpsons. The Simpsons, because it's got to be on model. If it's not, Dean's not involved in this project, so it wouldn't be fair to wrangle him in on this. Now, when it comes to Sinner, I probably won't do. Yeah, Dandale picked up a copy just recently, Dario, which is fantastic. I really appreciate it, and it sort of proves that it's worthwhile doing these sort of things. You get that interaction. I'll see if I can fit this son of a bitch on the page for starters. Season 1 Simpsons, yeah, man, more abstract, more loose. I might do that, actually. I might do all the Simpsons from season 1 in one picture. Oh, I think I've drawn myself into a corner here. The cards are so small. But, I mean, if you get them any bigger, they're not really cards anymore, are they? They're like pin-ups, and then where's it end? Yeah, I don't think I'll do this for the next one. Now, you guys in the chat, some of you are probably backers of the company, man. So just let me know what you think about this. Just send bathwater. See, that's my boy 6-scale combat. He's working smarter, not harder. Most of you guys would be on the mailing list for Company Men. Would you be? I think I asked you this before, but I got boomer syndrome and I forget stuff. Would you guys object to me sending you one email saying, hey, you signed up for the Company Men email, appreciate that, the campaign's pretty much done, it's going to be fulfilled soon, I'm going to be working on a new comic called The Sinner, I suppose what I'll do is I'll say, here's the sign up email for that, go sign up if you want. I was thinking of just adding everybody, but I think some people just wouldn't like that. So would you guys mind if a creator that you had followed or purchased work off before said, hey, here's the next project, sign up if you want? That should be all right, shouldn't it? Because there's 300 people there, and I think The Sinner's got fairly universal appeal. I think people are going to like it. Says a miniature painter, that's right. Well, they do all the hard work for me, mate, because they've already got all the details on there. And I've been watching that, Marco. Is it Marco Styles? Marco, not just Mecha. He does all the oil painting stuff on the miniatures. Oh, man, that's like a revolution. It's completely changed the way that I view miniature painting. I've just been watching his videos non-stop, and I went and bought a whole bunch of oil paints and stuff, because I haven't had oil paints in the house for years. It's been years since I've had a proper canvas to draw on. And he uses oil paints on his miniatures, and it's just stunning, the results that he gets. I can't wait to give that a go. I had the airbrush out the other day, and I did some undercoating. I've got some of those the Night Haunts, the ghost dudes from Sigmar. I don't follow the fluff that much anymore because they keep changing it. And I just prefer to make my own anyway. Like you said, you're doing some, Hero Quest type stuff, like advanced Hero Quest rewrites and that sort of thing. That's where I'd want to be, man. Yeah, it's like because they're so flexible and they come off with the different cleaning mediums and that sort of stuff. You just yeah, we use a hairdryer to dry them out. Yeah, Age of Sigmar is hit and miss. Where's my pen? That's the wrong pen. I saw a fantastic bunch of Stormcasts that were done up like cracked marble paintings come to life, spattered with the blood of their enemies. That looked excellent. So I grabbed some and I started imitating that paint scheme. I find that, like with comics and stuff, I can just inspire myself. I can just sit around and come up with ideas that I think are good, that I think are saleable. Story ideas, I can't keep up with all my story ideas. When it comes to miniature painting, though, I find that I tend to need inspiration from elsewhere. I can't just come up with a really cool color scheme on my own or a cool way to convert miniatures that already exist. And I don't want to use the stuff off the box. I mean, shit, if you're going to do that, why even play at all, right? Yeah, so I've seen a bunch of them. I've seen them done like granite, the Stormcast. A guy did them as like Dark Souls type armor, just all iron all over, and got rid of a bunch of the details, made them super simple, and that looked really effective. Well, Six, you grab yourself a 3D printer, and a lot of those miniatures are available to be procured completely legally online without paying for them, I hear. And then you can print as many of them as you want. That's my plan anyway. I've got myself a Anycubic Photo Mono X 4K, still sitting in the box nearly a month after I bought it. Because when you're a dad, you just don't have time to do shit for yourself. Yeah, Goku's another one that's tough, Dean, because you've got to draw it on model. I can draw Homer, and you go, yeah, that's Homer, but it doesn't really look like Homer off the show. You just know it's Homer because the bits are all there. And I don't know. I don't think I'd be happy if I got a Simpsons character as a sketch card. I'd be like, it's kind of a joke one, isn't it? I'd rather Shark Guy here. Maybe that's just me. I've got some pretty odd ideas, Dean tells me. But I appreciate all the ideas. Well, I can only say no. Just like I said no to the hood so many times, Dean. So many times. Dean doesn't sweat on model. He doesn't worry about that. Let's quit to talk to him. See, I'm doing that thing I did last time where I got chill hop playing in my headphones. It's just so chill, and I just feel like the coolest DJ ever talking to you guys and these dulcet tones. And when I'm not talking, it's complete silence for you. I mean, I've got the music happening. So definitely need to find myself 4 hours of copyright-free chill hop. Colin Swinburne is here. I don't know that many Collins, but the one Colin I do know well-ish is a top bloke. So if it's the Colin I'm thinking of, g'day, mate. Thanks for turning up. You must be on your lunch break. The more hours I work, the more spare cash I have to pay the page rates to get my wife's comic script produced. Oh, he's got my number. Yep. I made a few posts about it recently, and They did, as the kids say, they did numbers. For me, anyway. Joking about, this is my executive level breadwinning wife, and this is the comic I made with her money. It's a joke. I don't know. I think I need to maybe ease off on that. I think maybe that's going to foster some ill will with some people. And they're like, well, you're not a real creator. Your wife paid for it. You're just some tourist, aren't you? It's not like you had to go without. Hey, man, I changed those diapers. All those diapers. Oh, your mate Colin, not the Colin I'm thinking of, because he seems pretty spot on with his assessment of where the money came from to pay for the company. Man, I often joke if she leaves me, she's going to be taking more than half the comic. Not that she would. I don't know. You see these Everyone Loves Raymond and King of Queens and all these garbage TV shows, and the wives hate the husbands. Like, they're just so miserable. I fucking love my wife. She's awesome, man. It's not just because she's paying for my comic. She's hot and she's smart and she's funny, and she's just my best friend, on top of, sleeping with me and giving me kids and having a house together and all that. Like, I feel like that's how it should be. I don't know why I do know why Hollywood wants us to be so adversarial to our spouses and the people that we choose to be with. It's like, out of all the women in the world that I could have chosen, because not every woman in the world would want to marry me. I'd say more would than wouldn't, but not all of them. I can't say I could just walk up to any woman and say, hey, how about it? And she'd say, yeah, go on. But out of all the ones I could have picked, I picked her. So why wouldn't you want to get along? Why wouldn't you want to be friends? TV shows created miserable mums, a subversion of the 1950s happy housewife trope. That seems pretty spot on, Fizz. When you're not attacking me and my ideas for no good reason, you seem to have some pretty spot on takes, brother. Still don't know how to take Fizz. I don't know if he's fucking with me and trolling me, or if he's just the sort of person that's like, oh, well, I think this, so I'll say it. Because sometimes there's people like, oh, I just speak my mind. Yeah, that's not always a good thing. You could, some people could maybe just ease off a little bit. You don't need to. If I said everything I thought, I wouldn't have any friends. So you can keep some of it on the inside. Some people seem to think it's like, oh, no, I just say whatever I think, and that's a great trait. Is it though? Thor face, is it though? So I don't know if Fizz is just the sort of fella that says what he thinks all the time and gives no fugs about what people think about that, or if he's just messing with me. Can you guys even see that? Sorry, I might be getting off camera there. So I've never heard of this character before. I had a bunch of the old Who's Who encyclopedia type issues from DC Comics. I love those when I was a kid. I still do. In fact, I bought the collected edition from Amazon, which came out in July, and it's August and I still don't have it. What the hell, Amazon? Sort your shit out. I want my book. It cost me like $200. I could buy like 4 Games Workshop miniatures with that money. 4 of them. And so I used to have a really encyclopedic knowledge of Silver Age, late Bronze Age DC characters, but a lot of the new stuff's a bit, newer stuff. I sort of missed out on. I don't like the new 52 stuff very much. G'day, mate. Thanks for stopping by, mate. Talk about some talent. If we get a chance to check out Matt's Straw streams, he's a really talented dude. And it seems like a pretty chill dude from the few interactions I've had with him. He seems like a pretty cool guy. So if you get the chance, I mean, obviously if we're streaming at the same time, you want to come over and watch me. But if you're not, I'd be checking out his channel. And he's working with your boy on that book, Rock and Roll Ninja. I'm sure you've all heard it shilled every time you go onto a Zach video. I know I do. I tend to save my Zach videos up when I have to do the washing, like the laundry or the fold some towels or something. I will listen to a bunch of them in a row. So, because I like the dude. And I like his takes, and I like his boomerism, and I like, oh, mate, $2,000 worth of 40K stuff. You lucky bastard. Oh, Firewatcher's here. G'day, Watcher. Firewatcher's a good bloke. He's another guy I was telling you about from this writing collective that I'm a part of. Like I was saying before, it's slowed down a lot because of the COVID, but, people just get busy, but he is a talented writer, definitely on my level, and if he ever gets around to putting out a book, you boys want to check it out. Every script I've read from him is a moneymaker. Like if Marvel just give this guy a couple of grand, just a functioning artist, give this guy a functioning artist and a couple of pages of advertising, he'd be making books that'd sell more than Ms. Marvel or Captain Marvel or any of that stuff. Like he's got ideas, he's got characters, he's on the finger on the pulse, the zeitgeist, he knows what people want, and he's languishing in obscurity while these soy boy comic tourists are getting given job after job after job. It's criminal. These guys obviously don't want to make any money. Anyway, when he puts out a book, it probably won't be under Firewatch. It'll probably be under his real name. So I couldn't tell you what to look for there, but when he does get around to it, it's going to be significant. And you better believe I'll be shilling it every chance I get, because I know talent. I know what's good. And I'm not afraid to say this is good and this isn't good, or this is how it could have gone better. Like, I don't have feedback for Firewatch. I'm just like, yeah, man, that's more money. If I was an artist, I'd be drawing his books because I know that the story would have widespread appeal, and then it's just a matter of the art carrying it. He says, some good stuff happening in the chat. So Dario says he's going to get knife hands so he can get all the jawbreakers. I want to, but with postage, it ends up being about $200 all up. And I don't know. It's a lot of money. I've got to think about that. Unless I've missed out. Maybe I've missed out already. I don't know. And the fact that Knife Hand's a silent book, I don't know. I don't love silent books. I know the gimmick. I get it. I get that it works and it sort of proves comics is a visual medium. Do not have a problem with that. But, I'm a fast reader anyway, and then you have these silent issues and you just burn through them. I mean, I read a 22-page floppy in less than 5 minutes, so... You want me to make you a sandwich?
No. One for Duncan.
Okay. Calm down. Go out.
Finish my grades. I can have one if I finish my grades.
All right, sounds good. All right, let's do that. You go sit down. I'll bring it to you. Got a bit crammed up on the page here. It's hard to fit the character on the page, but I think it's come out okay. All right. I do feel like it needs a background. It needs something to sort of separate the character, and we need some color. We need to have at least some spot color somewhere. Although, to be fair, some of these pens are sort of a brown tone, so that's a little bit of color anyway. No, I saw Street Sharks. It's a bit after my time though. Street Sharks, like getting out of Ninja Turtles, and then Ninja Turtles went into, I suppose, Biker Mice from Mars, Toxic Avenger, Toxic Crusaders. So Ninja Turtles, Toxic Crusaders, Biker Mice from Mars, Street Sharks. I was sort of, Toxic Crusaders was just a little bit too silly. I was sort of phasing out of that. G'day, Sugar Chris. Thanks for being here, mate. And then Biker Mice. I saw bits of it. I like the intro and the designs, but I've told this story before, and I've probably got enough people here for it to be embarrassing. There's so much good stuff. Extreme Dinosaurs, never heard of that. Although that Mummies one, that Mummies had really good designs. Oh, Duckman's fantastic. I should draw Duckman. Toxic Avenger was a movie first, Fizz. It's a series of movies, and I believe they're remaking it, and I can't wait to see how they're going to screw that up. Mummy's Alive, there you go. Thanks for backing. So this must be number 16. Captain Planet. I was gonna throw Captain Planet in there. My only problem with Captain Planet as a kid was he's only in it for like 5 minutes. The kid's it's a bit like Voltron, isn't it? Or Power Rangers, like Putty's turn, like cool, Form Blazing Sword. What? Form Blazing Sword, bitch. But it's just Putty's. No, let's go Megazord. Let's go Voltron straight up. And Captain Planet did have the same face as James Bond Jr. You're blowing my mind, Colin. What are you doing, brother? Darkwing Duck. So that's another thing, a little bit after. Like, I'm 40. I turned 40 this year, guys. So that's just a little bit outside of my time. Now, I'm not saying I don't like it or it's not good enough for me or it's a bad show. I'm just saying it wasn't like prime time for me. It's okay. So I've done pretty good today. Let's have a look. So have a recap. So we got Shark Bloke. We got Rooster Cogburn. We got Calder Fruiter. These aren't too bad. We got Peacemaker. We got Slimer, and we got Hollow Knight. So that's pretty cool. That was, what was that, 16? Oh, let's see if I can get to 20 before I go clock off for the day. I bought 100 of these cards. So I'm gonna have to buy some more to fulfill this. Thanks, Noble. So I might just draw Duckman, hoping that whoever gets Duckman isn't disappointed by it, because it's pretty simple, but highbrow and a low jacket. It was such a fantastic show, and precognitive, like the amount of stuff that they talked about that ended up coming true. Now, I might just do a bit of underdrawing for this one because he's got that weird thing going on where his glasses are his eyes. And I'm pretty sure there's a few gags where he might have taken his glasses off and his eyes went with it. That's over there. There we go. It's a bit of self-talk. Never be ashamed of a little bit of self-talk. I mean, it doesn't hurt anybody else if you have a bit of self-talk. And if it helps you to have self-talk, then have some self-talk. I do it all the time. But again, I don't do that negative, oh, I'm such an idiot. Oh, you're an idiot. Why'd you do that for, Lee? I don't talk to myself like that. I don't talk about myself like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fronds on his hair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Probably the episode of Duckman, the 2 episodes I remember the most. And this is funny because it shows, I mean, how old is this show? 99? Early 2000? It shows how ahead of their time they were. They saw the way the politically incorrect stuff was going. Politically correct stuff. They knew. I wonder what Jason Alexander, how much of this sort of stuff he really believed in. You don't see him in a lot. And his Seinfeld money, I mean, they'll make $1 million an episode or something. He's right. His great-great-grandkids are going to be billionaires, so what's he care? So he could say what he wants. They can't cancel him. George is uncancelable. White Boy Summer? Summer of George. That's the summer we all remember. I remember the episode where Duckman got framed for sexual harassment by King Chicken, who was pretending to be a French, tutor for his dumb kids. And Porter. Okay, late 70s. Yeah, that's late 90s. That's what I was thinking. Exo Man of War. There's some good ones here. Guys, I can't remember all these. So when I say who am I drawing next, come back with some of these. Summer of George never ended. Apache Senpai knows. Come back with some of these ideas because I definitely want to draw some of these. And if I don't do them this time, get me next time. Played a murder. Like Costanza, Jason Alexander, he's got range, man. Like he can play believable, he can play petty, he can play sympathetic, he can play pathetic. I'd love to see someone do not really something like Nobody with Better Call Saul, which I really enjoyed. But I mean, how could you not enjoy it? It was just as a classic story, a revenge story, told without woke BS. That's all we want right now. But you could do something like that, like something redemptive, something like he seems like a loser, but there's more to him, with fat old out of shape Jason Alexander. And I'd buy that, man. I'd believe that. I want that movie to be a thing. I wonder if this motivates people to become directors and writers and stuff, because they want to say, I've often thought the same thing. I'd love to write a really great redemption action movie for Jean-Claude Van Damme. Love the dude. Love his movies. Love everything about him except the fact that he beat his wives. But like Bill Burr, Spielberg says, nobody. He says the woman doesn't get hit for no reason. Like a guy comes home and goes, "What, meatloaf for dinner?" Bam, smacks her upside the head. Like there's always something else that leads up to it. If a woman gets smacked in a relationship, his theory was that she somehow contributed to that happening. And you can. I've been punched in the head a few times, not a lot, a few. And there's been even more situations where I've walked away from the fight and diffused the situation. And sometimes you don't always feel so good afterwards because, you really want to fight back, but you also don't want to go to jail or kill someone by hitting them in the head wrong. I mean, that happens. I'm not saying I'm Mike Tyson and knock some dude out and kill him with one punch, but you just don't know. You hit them wrong and they're dead, and that's the rest of your life. It's not worth it because some guy said something you don't agree with. I'm not going to fight someone over that. 2, 3, 4, 5. I often forget my train of thought, so if I'm saying something you really want to know what I was talking about, you'll have to remind me because I go on big tangents. Let's check a thick outline. Kylie Mole, right? And who was I said pet, I said love, I said doll, I said pet. Like classic stuff. That was fast forward, and then they did Full Frontal a couple of years after that with a lot of the same people, with Glenn, what's his name, that does Russell Coit. Russell Coit's the bloke that I based my Kemosabe persona off. Have you ever seen me posting photos saying, this is me in my short shorts squatting in the outback? It's really a picture of Glenn playing the part of Russell Coit. And he plays that so well, there's people who actually think Russell Coit's a real person and don't realize he's a creation of this other comedian. This is supposed to be a thick outline. What am I doing? So I remember the Duckman episode where he gets accused of sexually harassing King Chicken in disguise. And I just remember thinking, I'm like, if it was late 90s, I'm in high school still. I'm 17, I'm 16, thinking, yeah, man, that's how it be. Like that's like I can already see it. I'm 16. I can already see that's how things are. And I'm not Mitki or anything. I've had girlfriends. I've got a wife. I've got kids. I didn't misbehave, but I did all right. But even back then, when I was a precious teenage virgin, I could tell that things weren't all right. So I remembered that episode. It stuck in my mind. And I also remember the one where all the men and all the women separate on different sides of a wall, of a Trump-like wall, and have their own society. And the men's society is basically just like a non-stop biker bar. But it works. It works. And the women's one, I think from memory, they don't get anything done because they all sit around and talk about it all day. Like they can't come to any sort of consensus. And that made me really aware of, like the differences between people want to talk about the science and biology and all that sort of stuff. But there's stuff going on upstairs that's profoundly different from man to woman. That maybe needs to be addressed before you start worrying about the politics of it all. And Dean says he'd be Mick Gow if he likes getting blowjobs too much. Amen, brother. Amen. They really are because they really are the best. But even a bad one's better than no one. I don't know though. You can get bad ones that are like painful, and you think I'd rather not be here. But I think like a bad one is in a average one. She doesn't really know what she's doing, but you're not in any pain. You're like, it's not unpleasant. That's certainly better than none at all. I don't know if anyone's going to be happy getting Duckman in the mail though. It's pretty simple. But maybe that can't be my concern. Maybe I just need to get this done. Yes, just use multiple light sources. Never mind the highlight that I've already put on the picture. I'm just going to make up my own highlights halfway through. Classic Ali. Yes, Eric Bannon, great dose of history. That's fantastic. Firewatch, I've only seen the first Fast and the Furious, but a lot of people are it's like the whole family meme that come up recently. Anything for family, can't do that to family. Nothing's more powerful than family. I really like those, and it actually got me hyped to watch the rest of them. So You're seeing like number 9's out. I'm gonna have to go download 2, 3. I'll have to download all 9 of them and just like marathon those some bitches all the way through. Because I've only ever seen the first one, and back then, it was just basically a car movie, and it didn't really have the big family theme. Wasn't as big a priority as it is now. But now you got like, is John Cena in one of them, and you got the spin-off with The Rock and Jason Statham and stuff. So yeah, I'll give it a look. And people saying they're getting more and more over the top, more and more crazy. That's good, man. That's good. That's my thing. I'm there. Apache Senpai says, I remember when they were just stealing VCRs. Thanks for backing. Company man, number 17, right? I'm so bad at this. 11, 12, 13, 14, 6, 17. There you go. Yeah, Super Soldier, that's right. Which, see if is, yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay. This is so plain. Maybe I need to do some crazy cross-hatching in the background. What I could do is, I won't do it now, but if I get a light coloured, and then I do big duck man and I colour in the background and leave the duck man white, so it's like negative space, I think that could look cool. I'm going to do that afterwards. Firewatcher and Apache here at the same place, same time. It's a convergence. It's the aligning of the stars. These two good dudes, great writers. Great dudes, great writers. Let's just keep it all on the same level. So who should I draw next? Don't cross my 7s? I don't cross my 7s, Daria. What are you talking about? I'm not German. We had some great suggestions before. Draw Big Red. Nobody's going to want Big Red. Sub-Zero. Serenity now. Could draw Sub-Zero. Didn't I draw a Mortal Kombat character already? All right. Oh, we've got the chat. Exo Manowar. Okay, Exo Manowar. See you later, Six. Thanks for stopping by, mate. I appreciate it. It's always good to see you. And if you guys don't know, check out Napalm Brothers by Six Scale Combat. He's got a new crowdfunder coming up for an omnibus, all 3 issues. The first 2 both made it onto my top 10 books of 2020 list last year. And I guarantee that issue 3 is going to hit the top 10 of 2021. There's no way it can't happen. There's no way the quality is going to drop to a point where it's not going to be on the list. All right, this guy knows what he's doing when it comes to making comics. So we're looking at Exo Manowar. Dom Torino. I want to draw Dom Toretto. I'll do that. I really like the first Pitch Black movie. That was great. I thought it was a really cool, low-tech sort of sci-fi world, and it had that Katie Sackhoff in it, who, I don't simp, but I enjoy seeing her on the screen, especially in Longmire. If you guys haven't seen Longmire, definitely check it out. G'day, Danjaroony. Thanks for stopping by, mate. If you guys haven't seen Longmire, it's a fantastic modern Western, old Western, but set in modern times. Sheriff trying to deal with all the problems of a small town. You got the Indians on the reservation with, they got their issues, and there's authority stuff sort of happening there, and it's just fantastic. She should have been Carol Danvers' Firewatch, 100%, brother. That's the casting call I would have made. She's so much more personable, better with the fans. She looks the part. She's fit. She's a tough chick, but she's also got vulnerability. You check her out in Longmire. Like at the same time, she's this tough, kick-ass chick. Not ridiculously so. Like she gets punched in the face and she goes down like anyone else, but she's tough and she holds her own. There's a huge amount of yeah, Colin, that'd be great, man. I'll be a guest on anything, anytime. I'm absolutely a whore when it comes to that sort of thing. I'll be there. No, because a whore gets paid. I'm a slut because I do it for free. Just hit me up on Twitter or whatever, and I'll make time. I'll be there. Like I'm on Pops Van Zant show tomorrow morning. I'm going to be up at 6:30 in the morning to be on that. But if I get a chance to go on, talk about what I like to do, talk about my book, I'll be there. So yeah, definitely, let's make that happen. Trying to find. It looks like they've updated his outfit, Exo Manowar. I'm trying to find the classic version that I grew up with. I had like 3 comics of it. So they've changed it so that the X is actually part of his costume now, which I think looks great. This is the best stream ever. It's me looking at bloody pictures on Google image search. Come on. All right, I love that one. I like that one. Oh, I assume that Colin was talking to me. Maybe he was. Maybe he was talking to Firewatch. What happened to the girl that played the femme fatale? What are we talking about? Dario? Femme fatale on what? You guys see that? Thanks, Dean. Thanks for the reassurance. I don't want there to be, dead air. I mean, I can ramble all day. That's not a problem. But, like whenever I turn the camera on here, it always takes like a good solid minute before it focuses. And I'm thinking, if it doesn't stop doing this autofocus thing, people are going to leave. That happened last time. It took me forever to, crikey, this helmet's a bit more complicated than I thought it was. It took me forever to get the camera and everything working, and I had like 10 people, and then by the time I actually got the camera working, it's like 4 people left. These people are like, nah, screw this guy, I can't even work a camera boomer, I'm out of here. I mean, if you guys are giving me your time, time's precious, if you think this isn't a waste of time, then I got to step up, and I've got to make sure that it's worth your time. It was a show before Walker on USA Network, Femme Fatale. You know what I mean? La Femme Nikita, the show version of the Luc Besson movie. I've got to open it up a bit more. Yeah, La Femme Nikita. I was watching the Kingsman the other day. I watched both of them back to back, and there's a great bit in there where Colin Firth's talking to Eggsy, sort of saying that a gentleman's character, a gentleman's more than how you speak. It's not your accent; it's how you compose yourself, how you carry yourself. Sort of linking in a bit, I suppose, to Blast from the Past with Brendan Fraser, about how he says a gentleman is someone who goes out of his way to ensure other people aren't uncomfortable. Same thing as a lady. A lady is someone who, I think that's a really great definition. I like the definition. So Colin Firth saying to Eggsy, it's not your accent just because you sound like a Chav Pov. It doesn't mean that you can't be a gentleman. And he tries to reference it to Pretty Woman, to a bunch of other shows about like that sort of thing. And Eggsy didn't know what he's talking about. He'd never seen any of those movies. And then Eggsy turns around and says, "Oh, you mean like My Fair Lady?" I cracked up because I'm like, he hasn't seen these other movies that are more current, more modern, and more relevant to what he's talking about. But he's seen My Fair Lady. I thought that was a fantastic little bit. But of course, if you don't know if any of those movies are, none of that's going to land right for you. I liked Kingsman 2 for what it was, but I feel like after Kingsman 1, I don't know, it's sort of almost going into Austin Powers territory, It's just getting, maybe it's a bit too silly maybe even, like the first one was played a little bit more straight. This one was just like all umbrellas all the time. But I still enjoyed it, and I'm still glad I watched it. And but again, I don't know if I'll watch it again. Like I'm getting to the point with stuff these days that if there's not a good reason to rewatch a movie, I probably won't, because there's plenty of other ones out there. I've got so many on my hard drive that I could watch, and I'm not motivated to. I find more and more I just want to go back and watch movies I've already seen because because they're safe, because I know that I'm not going to hate them. I hate hating movies. So I thought in this one I'd just outline the whole thing in black, because I've never done that before, but let's just do it this time, right? That's pretty smooth. What was the movie that you saw recently that had replay value, Dario? Willie, oh yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I want to check that out though. I'll watch just about anything with Nick Cage in it. That dude's—he's a character, man, and I like the conceit of that movie. Yeah, I tell you what though, I've really gone off horror movies over the last 5-10 years. I used to really like them. Now I don't. I don't like being scared. I don't like seeing people getting hurt. I don't like watching people get massacred or cut up. I don't like Saw, and I don't like The Exorcist, and I don't like Freddy, and I don't like Jason. I don't like any of that sort of stuff. I don't like Scream and slasher fix where people are getting. I can't watch it anymore. Like I can watch a bad Russian mobster get his face broke open by John Wick. That's one thing, but there's those guys are clearly bad guys, and it's sort of done in good faith. You accept that when you watch an action movie, some guys are good, some guys are bad. But in a horror movie, nobody really deserves what they get. And there's that phone again. Look, I'm going to have to go answer that phone real quick, just in case it's somebody that really needs to talk to me in this emergency. I'll be back as soon as I can. Thanks, everybody who stuck around. Sorry about that, but life does go on, you know. You guys see that okay? Yeah, Dean, how is that computer coming on? All right. So we're drawing Exo Manowar. A character I'm not super familiar with. I had a couple of comics of his back in the day. The Valiant stuff, I don't know, it always seemed kind of cheaper and not as well drawn. I feel like they were failed Marvel characters from the 70s or 80s. And I think mostly it was the art, though. I think the art just wasn't as good as the big two, so it always seems sort of inferior to me. But maybe if I went back and had a look at them now, I'd be a bit kinder to them. I'd probably appreciate the classic storytelling and frankly, the lack of identity politics. There's not a lot of comics out there for people who don't want to read about that sort of stuff anymore. No wonder everybody's turning to the indies, you know. I was just recording a couple of reviews recently. By recently, I mean this morning, before the kids woke up and got out of bed. And I changed my, my little sign off, and I just sort of said, talking about what a great opportunity is to be able to talk about the world of indie comics. It's not something that's always acknowledged by a lot of people, and it's often sort of looked down upon by the big two, even though they're happy to draw talent from there. And I realized what an opportunity I have to promote this great medium on my channel with my reviews. Now, they don't get a lot of looks, but there's a couple of hundred on each one, and that's a couple of hundred people that wouldn't have known about that book necessarily beforehand. So, I mean, it's something I'm going to be doing anyway. But I'm glad I get the opportunity to talk about, when you're building a channel and you're growing a channel, when you're just trying to interact with people, it needs to be authentic. It needs to be something that matters to you. Well, indie comics do matter to me. I really like them, and it's how I want to be spending my time. It's the content I want to be engaging with. It's the content I want to be making. I think I keep slipping this picture off the camera. I like the sinew type. Iron Man had that flexi suit. It's just like, yeah, we're just going to draw metal muscles. It's just metal muscles. You guys can just cope with that. But at least, Exo Manowar, there's sort of an effort to sort of say, well, these are bands of metallic fiber that mimic the properties of muscles and go over top of his muscles and allow him to have super strength and that sort of stuff. It's funny, when I was searching for his costume, the first thing that came up was that Exo Manowar Iron Man crossover game from back on the day. Never played it, but I always wanted to. I wonder how that come about. Like, there's some company just happened to have the license for both Iron Man and Exo Manowar and said, yeah, two guys in suits, why not? Let's just team them up. I can't imagine, Marvel calling up Valiant and say, hey, you've got a guy in armor, let's do a team-up video game on the PlayStation 1, like the side-scrolling shooter. You got to wonder how this stuff ever come about. Firewatch is right. Their loss is our gain. We've got incredible opportunities to be making comics, to be making art that we never had before, that nobody's ever had before. It's never been more accessible. It's never been easier in terms of being accepted and being accessible. Crowdfunding's really changed the way we do things. And, there's people who've been doing it for years before crowdfunders, and they've done the hard yards, and I certainly appreciate those trailblazers. But I do feel like some of them are like, I've been doing it for 10 years. I've been doing it before crowdfunders. I didn't need crowdfunders. Mine's more legitimate than yours because I never used it. I'm like, you can argue that all you want, but it doesn't really matter if it's a good story and if I can get my hands on it and read it and review it. If reading it makes my day better, my life better, it gives me a better narrative vocabulary, a better ability to tell stories, that's a win in my book. You can, justify it how you like. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough design, this one. Doing a few more character designs lately sort of made me really remember and appreciate why old school superhero costumes are so simple. I mean, it leads them to being iconic, but they're simple because they had to draw them over and over and over again. You look at some of these characters, some of these costumes, like the Ultimates, with Brian Hitch and Mark Miller. Still refuse to call him. Is it Mark Millar? That sounds ridiculous to me. Is it Mark Miller or is it Mark Millar? I've never heard anybody with the surname of Millar. I've heard of lots of people with the surname of Miller. I know a guy through friends of families, friends, pet, uncles, dogs, goldfishes, pets, vets, whatever, 10 degrees removed. So this guy's name is Grant, but everyone calls him Grant. And it's not an accent thing because we're all Australian and we all sound the same. So his name is Grant. It's spelled Grant, but everyone calls him Grant. Grant did this, Grant did that, Grant went over here. It sounds really pretentious. I don't really understand. Did his mum? She's signing the birth certificate. She's putting his name down. So what are you calling him? I'm calling him Grant. How do you spell that? Grant. Oh, so Grant. No, Grant. What's the difference? He's not British. We're all Australian. I mean, this pen's running out. This is a tragedy. He's a fairly lowbrow dude too. Like, he's not fancy at all. He's just a dude. He just likes his tinnies. And don't tell me I don't have another black pen. This would be a crime. There we go. I just don't know what the logic behind it was. And I feel it's the same with Mark Millar. Anyway, in Mark Millar's book, The Ultimates, the costumes are so complex. The pads and the ribbing and the textures and the pouches, unnecessarily so. You definitely want something that's not too complex. Like, imagine if you designed a character that had a hood and they've got to draw a hood at every panel and it's always flowing in the wind and it's always, ruffling and that sounds like a lot of work. I think a better option would just be to draw a collar on the character and not even worry about a hood. A hood sounds like too much work. You have to be a real masochist to really push this hood agenda. You're a good sport, Dean. Oh, what's happening here? This costume, man, I can't make heads or tails of this costume. It's got a Scott Steiner level chest gap. The old Steiner recliner. And then I heard that Buff Bagwell, he's a male escort now. So he's on some sort of gigolo website where he goes and pleasures elderly ladies for money, and that's how the Buff gets his stuff. Don't know if I'm proud of him or disappointed. I mean, live your best life, King. Some people might accuse me of doing something similar, although I am older than my wife, so.
You can help me in the bathroom.
Okay, I'll be right back. This was a mistake. So I don't know. I fight back against that sort of label. I'd prefer just to go with kept man. No, not the mistakes, Woody. I'm trying to stream. Look, it can get pretty tough sometimes, and everybody's experience is different. But sometimes I think to myself, and I say it sort of very defeatedly, but I'm like, well, who gives a fuck what I want? Who cares? Because nobody asks, I'm sorting out everybody else's issues and making sure everybody's fed and bums are wiped and noses are wiped and everyone's got food in front of them and their clothes are ready and all this sort of stuff. You don't always get people saying, oh, okay, so Lee, what do you need? How are you going? When you're what's traditionally, I suppose, considered the mum role for so long, and you're the one that's supporting everyone and making sure the missus gets off to work with a lunch packed and executive suit all pressed, and the kids get to school and they got their lunchbox and all that sort of stuff. Nobody often says, okay, well, what do you need right now? But that's just where I'm at the moment with, because the kids have got to be the priority. So I was only saying earlier, I get invited to all these live streams and all these shows, and I can't go on because I've got other responsibilities. And I just wish I could have a little bit more time to interact with people and build that audience. But at the same time, cats in the cradle, man, you don't get this time back. I could have got on earlier, but I sat down and played Streets of Rage 4 with my kid for a half hour or so. He likes playing as Max. I prefer to play as Axel or Shiva personally. And we just had a good old time playing a couple of levels of that. I've got to play it on easy because he's only 4, but he goes all right. He goes all right until he gets to the bosses, and maybe he'll remember that. Maybe, he'll look back and say, I remember my dad used to sit down and play games with me and that. So I'm the Alfred of this house. Daria, that's the problem, I guess, is I'm doing it all. But it does mean the missus can go to work. It does mean that she gets paid. It means that I get to make my comics. So, I shouldn't. I'm not complaining. I'd like to hear now and then. I'd just like to hear somebody say, okay, what do you need? Are you okay? What do you want? Can I get you a cup of tea? Sort of thing. But I'll just stick with kept man. I think that sounds a little bit better. Okay, this is coming along. It's coming along a little bit better. It's going to look great once I start putting some grays on it to get some of those shadows in there. Because some of this stuff I just can't draw with the black pen. You need a whole bunch of stippling, and I've spent more time on this than I think on all the other ones put together. So whoever suggested Exo Mano Wall, this is your fault. This is all on you. All right, let's get some. Yeah, maybe, mate. I don't know. I've often, you see people who outsource a bunch of their work to like India and stuff, and have like these Indian dudes or ladies being their assistants, and they work there, in India, but they handle all their appointments and everything, and they handle all their business. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think that's something I could look at as a cost-effective way. I mean, because technically I'm the CEO of Black Briar Press, but that's a company that hasn't made $1 in its lifespan. I've done nothing but lose money on it. But it's long term. Like people say, a lot of businesses don't make money for the first 5 years. It's all building up and that sort of thing. So eventually, at some point, I think there'd be scope for that sort of thing when there's enough stuff going on. What really appealed to me was when Zach used to say that he would run his whole business, and it is a business. Like right now, it's $1 million business for you, boy. He'd run his whole business from his bed. He'd just sit there on his smartphone or whatever, and he'd just do all of his, all of his appointments and all of his discussions and calls and everything from his bed, because that's all you really need to run a business these days. And he was so right, and that's part of the thing made me think, shit, yeah, I can do this. I already got the scripts. If I can find a good artist and pay him to make the comic I want to make, I mean, it's just a matter of time. And this is where we're at now. This is why I'm doing these. So I'm doing these cards for people that have backed the company, man, Dead White and Blue, physical editions anyway. Are all going to be getting a sketch card. Not because I think they particularly want it, but because I said I would do it, so here I am. Mm-hmm. I do enjoy it, though. I enjoy talking to you guys and getting a bit of chat feedback. It's a pretty chill way to spend a day. I think this is number 17, so I've still got 3 more to go after this before I sort of hit my 10 for a day. I was going to do this 2 weeks ago, but then the kids got sick and the missus got sick. And when they're sick, you're doing everything on top of everything. It's full on. So, and then the lockdowns happen, and then the missus is back to work. All this sort of stuff just ended up being there wasn't any good time for it. I have found that I'm enjoying drawing again, though. I haven't done a lot of it in the last couple of years, aside from some little scribbles and stuff to get ideas across to artists that I work with. And I've really enjoyed working in physical medium too. It's been a while since I've done that. That's been like a, I don't know, reawakening, resurgence. Not saying I've done a lot of it. I used to do a lot like mixed media stuff, lots of collage. I mean, I went to art school, all that wanky sort of stuff. Yeah, it's funny, Dario, sometimes you like a couple of times you've shown me pages from Company Man that I haven't even seen yet because he's posting them on Instagram. Because he'll send me all the pages at once. He'll send me 5 or 10 in one go, and then I'll see them all at once. But he might be posting them separately, one at a time. But he's already like 20 something pages into Company Men 2. Like Company Men 1's not even out yet, and Kelsa's already ahead of the game on the second book. So it's happening. And I look at it sometimes and I think, what if the Sinner turns out to be more popular than the Company Man? Sinner's it's got a simpler concept. He's a more traditional hero. It might get huge. It might blow up in a way that the Company Man hasn't yet, or might not. Like maybe I'm wrong about the Suicide Squad type aesthetic that people want. Maybe they don't want it as much as I think they do. I'm still going to finish the Company Man. There's still stories to be told there. I've got a whole universe planned out. I don't know, people say that. You see people on DeviantArt all the time and they go, "Oh, this is my OC." I don't call it your OC. You sound like a fan, like you're not a real creator, Like, does Alan Moore call his characters OCs? No, because he steals all of his characters from other media. That's only in the Extraordinary Gentleman, which that got weird, that book. I started losing track of the references, It took me forever to work out he's referencing Harry Potter in one of the later ones. I'm like, oh, it's Harry Potter, of course. But I don't read Harry Potter, so I don't know. It's like he was getting too esoteric. He's getting like too clever for his own good that I couldn't keep up. And some of his references are out there, man. Like stuff from the 60s in England. There's some minor independent press or some sort of advert or comic book or cartoon that, But then I talk to people who've never heard of Banana Man. So what's up with that? That's right. I forgot about that Fire Watcher. He did all the Watchmen were Charlton characters reskinned. Man, this one picture has taken forever. I appreciate you guys turning up and hanging out for a bit while I do these drawings. It certainly makes it a lot more interesting than just doing it on my own. I mean, I wouldn't be half as motivated. I'd really struggle to do this, I think, even if it was just like a couple of people here. It was almost more like performance art than just art for art's sake. And if you guys have seen me on live streams, I don't mind a little bit of performance. I can talk the talk. All right, I'm just going to extend that hand out a bit. How's it look on the camera? That's right. I wish I could have fit more of the character on the card though. This has got to be, what's this number? Was Duckman really the last one that I drew? Jeez. This number 18. 18, is it? It is. All right. Yes. I love you too. All right, that's number 18. Who should we do for number 9? Should we draw for number 19? Elmo. Green Ranger, they're good ones. I think I could probably manage both of those. Or somebody did say aggro before. If maybe I'll save aggro for an Australian backer, because they wouldn't know who aggro is. Aggro was like a sexually aggressive Elmo from back in the day. Check out Aggro's Cartoon Connection on YouTube. He was it's like a puppet, like a Muppet. But the dude who did the Muppet, I don't know if it's the same guy forever, it must have been, he kept pinching the female host on the ass. He kept like groping her and stuff. So it'd be like live broadcast or whatever. So inappropriate. It was back in the 80s and early 90s, I guess. And they'd have like, 10, 15 minutes of Silverhawks or Thundercats, and then they'd cut back to Aggro, and Aggro would be like, oh, fair, cool, blimey, can't believe that's happening on this show. We'll come back after these ads. And they go to the ads, they come back, and Aggro's like, g'day, everyone, back to Aggro's Cartoon Connection. Pinches Anne-Marie on the ass. She laughs and jumps and looks down at the Muppet bloke, and he's behind the counter, working Aggro like a little Muppet there. Says, oh, you're back into the Silverhawks, here we go. And then you go back in Silverhawks. So it's just like cutting away for this Muppet sexually assaulting this woman every 15 minutes. It's just bizarre. But you ask anybody over the age of like 30, 35, they're like, yeah, man, Aggro's Cartoon Connection. I was there. I used to watch it every morning. You'd know. What a trip. I nearly feel like I could go in straight with the pen for Elmo and do it really painterly with the red one as well. All right, let's see, like really serious Elmo. And, I've got 100 of these cards, so if I really screw it up, I can just chuck it and start again. I did that with a couple of... It took me like 3 goes to get Stingray right last time. I just could not get him to fit on the page. And I think I was feeling a bit of fatigue by that point. I like the way you get these big painterly strokes for the fur. Is it fur? Is it hair? What are Muppets? What even are Muppets? Dean, what are Muppets? Captain Boomerang's a good one. And he's as close to a national icon as we've got. He's like our Captain America. I couldn't believe how jacked the dude who played Captain Boomerang was in the first Suicide Squad movie. He was yoked, man. He was huge. That end scene where they got him locked away and he's screaming, let me out. I don't know, it's just surprising. You see some dudes down the street, not quite a mop, not quite a puppet. There you go, wisdom from the man himself. You don't realize somebody could be so swole under their clothes. I found that a lot on Walker, Texas Ranger. There'd just be like these dudes just wearing like regular 90s gear. And like, okay. And then they go do a martial arts scene and the shirt comes off and like they're shredded. You wouldn't even know. You just think they're just some regular pleb. Elmo's looking pretty scared right now. Oh yeah, so Dario's talking about Gonzo from the Muppets. What's the controversy there? So in a recent, it's not even a cartoon because everything's 3D animated these days. In a recent Muppets cartoon, Gonzo wore a dress, which, if you watch old school cartoons, dudes are always wearing dresses. Bugs Bunny is the biggest cross-dresser this side of... It's just like Fred Flintstone, but I don't remember him ever doing that. But something like that, like it's just a really common thing. And it was always just done as a disguise, or he'd like fake out Elmer Fudd. Like Elmer's thirsting for Bugs dressed in opera drag, and it's like such an own, because on top of being fooled, you wanted to bang this rabbit. That's, like there's all these subtexts to the whole thing. But with Gonzo, he's dressing as a girl, and then his friends are all like, because he's doing a Cinderella thing. He's Gonzarella or something. He's like Cinderella. And his friend's like, oh, but Gonzo, you couldn't possibly Gonzarella, even though your foot fits the glass slipper, because it was wearing girls' clothes. They're like, well, guys, I've got to tell you something. I like wearing girls' clothes. Somebody clip that. And so they basically made Gonzo into either a trans character or because you don't have to be a cross-dresser to be trans. You don't have to be trans to be a cross-dresser. It's also fluid and up in the air these days. You don't want to try defining anything. But yeah, so he's either a cross-dresser or he's drag or trans or whatever. And that's the thing now. So they've just retroactively. I mean, they've got about as much evidence as that as they do of Iceman being gay, but that didn't stop them. I should be doing this in the thick black texture. Definitely have to buy some more Sharpies before the next time I do this. And didn't the dude who does Elmo's Puppeteer, didn't he get in trouble for something? Sexual assault or wrong think? Because, those guys, it's practically the same thing. It's as bad as one of my reviews that are coming up. It's called The Woke Collective, and it's a review of 3 woke comic books, and talks about like the features of woke comics and who are they for and why do they exist and what's the purpose of them and that sort of thing. So I found that I've got so many books to review that it's very easy for me to find a common theme. I've also got another one that I've recorded called The Crime Files, where I review 3 crime-based indie comic books. And it's very easy to find 3 that is very realistic, very grounded, no superpowers, no magic, just 3 crime stories. And comics are a perfect vehicle for crime stories. Not quite getting the mouth. That's what's throwing me off. I can't quite get Elmo's mouth. Sonic shoe. Oh, that's a deep cut. But is it anymore? Everybody knows about him now. It used to be deepest lore, and now every normie's talking about Chris Chan. Which, I mean, it's not a good thing. More of a cautionary tale, really. I don't know if anyone's going to be happy to get Sonic Shoe in the mail, though. That's probably the worst one we've had yet. Like, even when I'm drawing Elmo, I kind of want to do like a Liefeld-esque super buff Elmo with, ping pong ball M60s or something instead of just straight Elmo. Sonic Shoe is just nightmare fuel. This makes number 19, I believe, so getting really close to hitting 20, which will be 1/10 of the way through this goal. Getting there. I'm trying to think when the next time I could do something like this. Maybe tomorrow, not Wednesday. I'm on with Pops, and then I've got to go take the kids to the doctor. So that's my Wednesday done. Number 19. Oh, I was titling them as well. I should go back and do that. Elmo. All right. Time for number 20. They look pretty good when you put them all together. When you assemble 10 or 20 of these cards all together in one go, they look really effective. Crazy says, I hear your artist keeps kicking you in the nuts. Yeah, but it's okay. It's for the best. That's the way things need to be. Pretty quiet in the chat. I like the idea of Green Ranger, but honestly, for picture number 20, I don't know if I've got the stamina for Green Ranger. I don't know if I could curse anybody with Sonichu. Green Ranger. The comic version of him looks really different to the TV version. Green Ranger reminds me of, when you're watching Silverhawks, everybody liked Quicksilver the best because he was the lead character. See, the Silverhawks weren't nearly as, when I say diverse, I mean visually diverse. I don't care about skin color and that crap. Spider-Man. If I don't have the stamina for Green Ranger, I certainly don't have the stamina for Spider-Man. Maybe Black Suit Spider-Man because there's a lot less detail on it. The Silverhawks all basically look the same, aside from physique, and the Copper Kid being a bit unusual. So everybody liked Quicksilver, but you couldn't all play as Quicksilver at the same time. You couldn't have like 8 Quicksilvers running around. So Shadow Man, that's a good one. Yeah, but it's all the Webstein. That's what'll get me. The Thundercats had a lot more visual diversity. They're all clearly based after a particular cat. So when
I'm going to get my
bloody kids. When they introduced Flashback, Iron Fist, I think you might have a winner there if I watch it. When they introduced Flashback into the Silverhawks, everybody liked that guy because he wasn't Quicksilver. He was somebody new, but he looked really, really cool. He looked visually distinct. And then they introduced the Magic Guy and the one with the tornado, and they were a bit lame. But I feel like Green Ranger's like that. Everybody had their favorite Ranger, and then when Green Ranger turned, like, oh no, him. He's my favorite. He's my favorite now. Everybody just switched to the Green Ranger because he's just so cool. Yeah, well, Dean, you might be right, but I have no rebuttal. I'm looking at Green Ranger's helmet. I don't know. I like the helmet. Tricky to draw, and the big shoulder pads. We might kick off with Green Ranger next time. And then White Ranger. I know it's been said a bunch of times, but fair income, how on the nose was it when, the Yellow Ranger was Asian and the Black Ranger was actually black? Like, they didn't even try, and that should have been E.T. You guys are giving me all these weird little alien characters. That's an easy one to do for the end, though. Probably nearly do that one off by memory. Funny thing, I've actually never actually seen Brown Ranger. Be the change you want to see, Dario. You can do it, brother. I believe in you. I've never actually seen E.T. I'm aware of it because of pop culture and stuff. It's like Star Wars. I've never seen Star Wars all the way through, but I'm aware of many elements of it. That's really interesting, Firewatcher. I didn't know that. The Black Ranger asked to be the black one. Oh, he's going to own it. Sultana-like eyes. That huge sort of mandible. Oh, can you guys even see that? I'm all over the place right now. I wonder, have I been streaming for less than I think it was 3 hours 40 was the last stream I did. And that was 10 pictures. It'd be great if I managed to get 10 pictures and less than that this time. Because that means I'm getting faster as I'm getting back into the swing of things. Which means hopefully this should happen a lot more quickly. Because after this, I'm still going to have 180 pictures to go. Those eyes are terrifying. I wonder if Spielberg sat down with someone, and it was Spielberg who did this, wasn't it? And they designed the character. If he said, go make me a sympathetic looking alien, just remember it's got to have big eyes because big eyes are sympathetic. It works on puppies and children. But at what point did Spielberg see the sketch for E.T. and said, yep, that's it. That's the one. That's the face of the creature I want to make $1 million off. Because he is haunting. So it looks like in the 80s and 90s, it was a thing to make every cute thing look like a wrinkly old man. Countless examples. That's that makes me wonder what was the motivation of the wrinkly old men behind this. Because it's clearly, you wrinkly old man that, I've done another headshot. Here I was saying I didn't want to do headshots. Now I'm doing headshots galore. Can I even count these as 20? Because what does the top of his head look like? I don't even know how to describe that. All right. Let's go with some grey. I think Combat Scale is right about the pictures becoming more abstract as time goes on. I always knew that I'm going to have to be quick. I couldn't spend too long on them because, I have so many of them to do, and it's not a really serious tier. Like I said in the early one, this is really just a 4-hour excuse for me to show my book to you while I draw pictures and we hang out. I certainly don't think I'll be doing sketch cards again on the center. Now that I've got that initial email list, if somebody says, look, take me off, I don't want to be alerted to your products anymore. Okay, that's fair. But now that I've got that initial list, it's just to build off. That's the whole point of doing these. He is hideous. Yeah, man, he's a scary looking dude. I've said before I don't actually remember my dreams. When I was a kid, I used to sometimes remember nightmares, and they were all based off my nightmares. Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, that sort of stuff, like those scary animatronic, real looking but not real looking sort of characters that you'd get on those shows. Those are things that used to wake me up screaming at night. But I don't remember my dreams anymore. I haven't remembered dreams for more than 20 years, probably longer. It's a bit like I know I dream. I wake up sometimes and have a strange sensation like I've been doing something. I'm like, I must have been dreaming about something. And I might even have a sense of, for example, not that this is an actual one, but like, how you feel when you're at the beach or having been at the beach is different than how you feel standing in your living room. You got sort of a sense of, yes, I'm at the beach or I've been to the beach. So I wake up with a sense that I've been somewhere, but I don't remember where, and I don't remember the specific dream. So I can only assume that I actually dream. I don't mind this one, actually. It's coming out all right, isn't it? Funny, you can't tell. You can't predict. There have been some great suggestions in the chat. I'll have to go back and... Thanks, Crazy Man. Go back and log some of those just so I've got them for next time. I had a tweet thread about this exact exercise, saying, I'm going to be doing these sketch cards. What characters should I draw? And a bunch of people suggested stuff, and then I never went back and looked at the thread to get ideas. I got all these ideas that I should be drawing from. But I suppose you guys are here. I might as well let you guys pick, at least to some degree, what I draw. You managed to get Con the Fruiter. That's impressive. And yeah, Poeta. I've got to do Poeta next time. Kind of want to do a wash in the background there just to leave ET himself really pale, but I don't think I will. I think his eyes are rounder than I've made them. I don't know. It was the appeal of this movie that there's just nothing on at the time, nothing else on. I don't know how this blew up to be so big, or is it a case of like, is it Spielberg? So all the critics like, oh, it must be great because it's Spielberg. That sort of thing even happened back then. Somebody recently called me the Eber of indie comic books, which I'm going to just continue to believe is a good thing. He's a critic, isn't he? And I do criticize indie comics, so that's not inaccurate. His eyes are blue, so I can do a bit of spot color with the blue eyes. Find a lighter color. No, it's too dark. There's a lot of texture on his mandible, but not a lot of detail, so it looks like a big blank spot when really it should be quite mottled. And because these, the pen, the ink's not, it's water fast, but it's not, color fast. So these textures, I assume, are alcohol based, and they're picking up some of the ink and swishing it around, which is an effect that you can use to your advantage if you want to and you know how. Dean says E.T. is a good movie and it's got a lot of heart. It's funny how different families have different, not traditions, but like I said, we never watched Star Wars. My dad's not a fan. My mum doesn't really watch a lot of movies, like big, pop culture type movies sort of thing. She's not really into that. So it just never come up. It's just never a thing at our house. None of us have seen. I think Dad probably watched Star Wars when he was younger. He was born in the late 50s, so he probably would have watched them at some point, whether when they come out of the cinema or whatever, but he certainly wasn't keen on them, and he never sat me down and said, oh, son, you got to watch these movies. They're fantastic movies, and I love them and stuff. Got me to watch Heat of the Night and Roadhouse, so he's got pretty good taste otherwise. The same sort of thing with E.T., like it was just never a thing. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I feel like I need some contrast around the eyes, though. Oh, okay, so I use some blue. Phone home, bitch. I'm disappointed that I'm up to picture 20 already because I want to keep doing this, but I really got to go get on with the day and all that sort of stuff. And I know that I don't really have the stamina to keep going anyway, but I kind of wish that I did. Because once I get into it, I really do enjoy hanging out with you guys and doing these sketches. And your suggestions are fun. Like I never would have. Shit, was that the power on my phone? Oh well, that's perfect timing. It just died. So probably got a black screen now. That died pretty quick, I got to say. I had that fully charged up. Maybe I should buy a dedicated camera. Well, we're on a black screen now, guys. I did finish ET. It ended up looking pretty good. I'll sign it off in a minute. There's more headshots in there than I wanted to be, but we're up to number 20. And today, I'll have to take a photo of it on my dead phone, chuck that up on the Twitter. So today we've got ET, Shark Guy, Elmo, Exo Man of War, Duckman, Hollow Knight, Con the Fruiter, Peacemaker, Slimer, and Rooster Cogburn. That's it. I'm pretty proud of myself. These are better than I thought they were going to be. I'm not going to be so hard on myself. They're getting better the more I do it. I look at the first one I did, which was Cable, and I look at the Rooster Cogburn one. There's a fair jump in ability there. I'm getting back into it. I'm using these pens better, getting more painterly. This is fun. I'm looking forward to doing it again. I don't know if I'll be able to do it tomorrow because the missus will be home. And she'll be working from home because of the COVID. So I'll probably have to run interference with the kids while she does that because she can't have kids climbing all over while she's doing Zoom meetings and stuff. You can still see okay? Oh no, that's so the camera. Yeah, so the phone stopped, but like I moved my hand in front of the camera. There's nothing there. The phone's dead. But there's ET finished, and the modelled effect on his mandible ended up looking really good actually. All right, rock and roll. So it may be Wednesday. I've got to take the kids to the doctors, but see if I can fit it in. Otherwise Thursday. I'll try and do at least one more of these this week. I really do enjoy it. I appreciate you guys turning up. Thanks for spending some of your time with me. Yeah, froze. Camera ran out of battery. And I will catch you guys next time. See you later. Thanks. Bye.